Welcome to YellBro Road. I am Jordan, and today we're going to react to Glenn Greenwald doing one of these Jubilee surrounded thingies where he's talking to a bunch of Trump fans. Glenn versus MAGA, I guess, or I should say this: Glenn versus still MAGA. Somehow I see like some younger people here. I'm like, you're still dick riding the Trump thingy? Damn. Whatever. Before I get started, do not forget to share, support. Hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Also, please check out the Discord link if you want to join that. We are in that Discord right now. All opinions are welcome. And obviously, everything I show you will be linked in that same description box, which is basically just this video. It's long enough. It'll be a marathon on its own. I say, fuck it. Let's get started. Here is one journalist versus 20 Trump supporters, Glenn Greenwald. And the first question, we're skipping the intro, obviously. Claim number one. President Trump is more of a war-making president than a peacemaking president, and that is just patently obvious. And hopefully, Glenn won't puss out and ignore the first term, because and the reason why I say it that way is because Glenn was doing some lack of shitting on Trump before this thing started turning sour for the MAGA crew. Right? And if he was doing that protection shit he was doing for Trump, seemingly, in a lot of cases, with a lot of other influencers, by the way, and maybe he wants to ignore hey, this was kind of predictable, which means he might skip out on the first term, which he shouldn't do. He'd definitely bring up the first term, be like, damn, you guys should have figured out in the first term. If you're under fucking 85 years old, where's your excuses at? Like, really? But you know what? Fuck it. Let's just hear it from Glenn Greenwald versus 20 MAGA fans. President Trump is more of a war-making president than a peacemaking president. Here we go. Oh, fuck.
President Trump is more of a war-making president than a peacemaking president.
If you would like to debate this claim, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Why do they have a race
nice
off
to meet
to
you,
a chair?
Good to meet you,
Glenn.
Literally like for children. Like, what are we doing? But I'm here for the arguments. Let's hear it.
So first, I want to just ask, what makes a peacemaking president?
A peacemaking president is somebody who, in the first place, avoids war for their own country, either solves and resolves wars that they inherit or prevents wars from breaking out that they would get their country involved with.
Okay, so you agree that prevention is a part of what makes a president a peacemaking president?
For sure.
Okay, so then what about Trump's foreign policy is not prevention?
Well, the first thing that he did in getting to office, basically within 30 days, was restarted a bombing campaign that President Biden had prosecuted throughout 2024, that President Trump during the campaign had heavily criticized. Yet as soon as President Trump got into office, he not only restarted that bombing campaign, but escalated it. That was the one in Yemen against the Houthis. It went on for about 5-6 weeks, entailed hundreds of people who were dead.
Was that not necessary for like global trade to ensue?
Right.
Was the Houthis not attacking multiple different ships? And
no, the Houthis were only attacking Israel at the time that President Trump did that. There was a peace deal that President Trump engineered that ended up being very temporary. And the Houthis said, for as long as this peace deal is in place, we won't attack ships. Once the Israelis started violating it, not letting food, they said, we're only going to attack Israeli ships.
So here's a
and that's when
question.
President
Here's a
Trump
question
attacked.
for you, Glenn. Are we still in conflict in Yemen?
No, President Trump ended his own war that he started.
Okay, so then by your definition, did we not prevent further conflict by having this conflict? And would we not free up the trade routes in Yemen from being attacked by the Houthis? It's free, is it not?
It's like...
What? It's like saying war is peace. It's like that's literally saying war is peace. That's as Orwellian as it gets. And literally, like their little slogan in the White House of in the Trump administration, where peace through strength, it literally means peace through war. When they say strength, they mean blowing shit up, honestly. And Glenn, once again, I don't know why you skipped the first term. I mean, within the first 3 months of his first term, he's bombing Syria. He bombed Syria within his first 3 months. And even before that, they did an operation where they killed an American citizen, by the way. A little girl, a 9-year-old girl who's American. These fuckfaces won't know about that, but Glenn's supposed to know that. Mr. Journalist is supposed to know that shit. So I don't know why starting in the second term. Probably because of PR, because on the PR level, people view the first term as like a normal presidency where there's like, oh, it's like no war, no new war started and all that shit, right? But let's be real, this guy was perpetrating crimes across the planet when it comes to bombs and bullets, quite obviously. So I wonder if Glenn's trying to save his own. Let's be real, no one here up here is, honest to God, in my opinion, like worthy of being the spokesperson for it on behalf of righteousness in regards to this topic. At least what I've seen. Like, I don't know the other people, but this kid talking so far is trash, and Glenn is ignoring an entire first term where, once again, this guy blew people up. So I don't get it. And in fact, if you were a journalist that went against blowing people up, or at least tried to expose people getting blown up, you got shit on too. A la Julian Assange or an Edward Snowden type person, right? So, okay, fair enough. Either way, he made his points of this recent term, right? And I mean, just say Gaza and you're good. Say Gaza, like, okay, explain Gaza to me. There's no real reason for it. The idea of the Houthis or Ansar Allah in Yemen, as far as I understand, yeah, they stopped when the ceasefire was on. When Israel broke the ceasefire, they started bombing Israeli ships. The U.S. is like, hey, we're going to bomb you now. And the Houthis are like, all right, we're going to bomb your ships coming through here too. Or anything associated with you. We're going to fucking drain billions of dollars shooting down drones and all this shit that are flying over Yemen. Right? Then at some point, the U.S. had to concede because, like, fuck, how do we kill these little fuckers? Right? They're more like, or guerrilla ground, like air guerrilla warfare somehow, right? Because no one's on the ground there. But when you shoot your drones over, these guys are like hiding in fucking bushes and taking them shits out, and in fact, repurposing them for themselves. They actually handed them weapons, you dummies. And, you know, as all that's happening, of course, the U.S. is bombing innocent civilians during the entire campaign, which seems to always get lost. But, and I think Glenn knows that, but what he does is he talks down to people. Like, I'll talk at your level without showing, like, hey, wait a minute, you're just wrong on this topic. Let me stand above you, actually, and show you what you're missing here. Are you telling me you don't care about babies or grandmas and grandpas or innocent civilians being killed? You may not call that war, but it does happen. Do you care about that? That turn your stomach a little bit? Or is it worth it? What's it play?
Saying I stabbed myself in the stomach, but then I brought myself to the ER where I had a doctor fix me up. And that proves that I'm really interested in fitness and self-care. President Trump started the war in Yemen. He escalated the war in Yemen. It was stopped at the time that he took over.
Were the Houthis attacking people or not?
He didn't start the war in Yemen. He's continuing on what was already there. Like, Glenn, you know this, right? Come on. Right? Remember Sudan? You don't think the U.S. had not Sudan, my bad. Saudi Arabia. You don't think the U.S. had a heavy hand in that conflict with Yemen? Of course they did. In fact, they had a chance to get out of that and get U.S. arms out of that thing, but instead, Trump vetoed it and Obama started it. So, but once again, I guess we're in this thing where we're pretending that the first term didn't happen, and it's not a part of this discussion. It didn't say 2024 Trump presidency. It says just President Trump. Well, guess what? He's had 2 terms. So let's fucking bring that up, too. Then again, Glenn might be protecting his own fucking image because he was drinking the Kool-Aid for, yeah, Trump's better than the Democrats. I don't know if he said that directly, but let's be real. He was implying it, and he'd make arguments in a certain direction when he's talking to other influencers and all that shit, moving in that direction of like, yeah, Trump's actually better without maybe directly saying it. Kind of like a la Jimmy Dore, right? Where you spend your whole time talking about how bad Democrats are, right? And that's not saying I'm a Democrat fan. It's just saying like these guys use that as a way to, in a way, support Trump, at least narrative-wise. And then the backfire. Or was it a backfire? Maybe it's purposeful. Because if you pay any attention to Trump's first term, you know all this shit is quite predictable. Let's hit play. Here we go. Sorry. Once again, I'm not the expert. Glenn's the expert. So let's hear the expert go off. Here we go.
In Yemen, he escalated the war in Yemen. It was stopped at the time that he took over.
Were the Houthis attacking people or not?
They
Were
were
they
attacking a foreign country called Israel that is not part of the United States.
Okay.
So
Do these international trade routes not affect America?
No, not when it's only Israel whose ships are being attacked. You can say the war is just. The question is President Trump making war or making peace? You can say, okay, he made war in Yemen, but I think the war is just. He's still a war-making president by definition. There was no war when he got in.
By the result of the conflict that it was a peacemaking military engagement. We have peace in Yemen now.
How did it end?
How did it end?
It ended by the Houthis saying, we will not attack anybody except the Israelis, and as long as they're denying food and water entering into Gaza. And they continued to do so. It achieved nothing. All it did was have the United States deplete our missiles, our military force, our resources. It was a war that didn't exist, that Trump created. Yes, congratulations, he ended his own war, but that is an example of a war-making president. That's just one.
Sorry, but it did exist. It was already going on. We need to get out of kindergarten with this whole foreign policy talk. It was already going on. Like, it's not like you don't think Yemen knew what was going on with the whole Gaza stuff and the U.S. involvement in it. You don't think Yemen understands what the U.S. was doing, funding Saudi Arabia and arming Saudi Arabia to blow them up, the poorest country in the world, blow them up day in, day out, from school buses to weddings. They didn't forget that shit. So, but here we go. Whatever.
An example. There's obviously war in Iran as well, that he inherited a presidency where we were not at war with Iran. We are now at war with Iran. We've twice gone to war with Iran under President Trump. That's another war that he's made.
Do you not agree that Iran is a major threat and destabilizes the Middle East all the time?
I don't, but we'll get to whether the war is just. The question now is, does President Trump make more wars?
Well,
you seem to be acknowledging he makes wars, but
what you initially agreed to, though, is that part of what makes a peacemaking president isn't just, oh, we don't start any conflicts. It's actually engaging in conflicts to prevent further conflicts.
So war is peace. Did you read 1984 by George
Orwell?
Orwell?
No, I'm just
asking.
I'm literally quoting what you said earlier at the beginning of this conversation.
George Orwell in 1984 described the most extreme kind of propaganda by war-making tyrannies. And one of the things citizens get told is war is peace.
Did you not admit that part of what makes a peacemaking president is stepping in and preventing further conflicts?
Yes, but you can't prevent conflicts by starting conflicts. Starting conflicts is starting conflicts.
Why can you not use
the
wars that you start?
We got to pause here, Mike. We got to pause here. You've been voted out by the majority.
Yeah, you've been voted out.
Thank you.
You are garbage, kid. Get the fuck out of here. You can't be this stupid.
So in reference to Trump being a peacemaking president or a warmongering president, let's say, for example, let's start with the conflicts that he did indeed stop, right? For example, Pakistan, India. Pakistan nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. They said that he specifically played a big role in Israel's conflict. Well, India disagreed, but Pakistan regardless said that he played a key role in preventing it. We had Thailand versus Cambodia also break out. Cambodia nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize and also said that he prevented that conflict. I'd also say in reference to Venezuela, obviously no one thinks that Maduro was good there. The tyranny was crazy. The way that he was leading the government, everyone agrees. But he was able to take Maduro out, and Daisy Rodriguez, who's now the vice president, is very, you could say, subordinate or servile, right? 50 million barrels worth of oil, restricting Cuba, so on and so forth. And so I would disagree that he's a warmongering president.
Okay, the point is not he's a warmongering president. The formulation is he's more of a war-making president than a peacemaking president. So even in your examples, including in Venezuela, you're not denying that he used military force in a way that is considered an act of war by every country on the planet. You're defending the wars that he's making by saying they lead to good outcomes, which we can debate, but that's a separate question from the proposition. As far as these wars that you're concerned that I know he loves to cite, India was vehement that he had no role to play of any meaningful kind in mediating that conflict between India and Pakistan. That is a war that goes back, that conflict goes back many hundreds of years.
So does many of these other
Trump.
conflicts.
But even,
if you took a little sneak peek at any of the India or Indian media, these fools say these fucking U.S. Look, they can't even fuck with the Houthis, bro. These guys are trash. They're shitting on them. They're shitting on them. On their technology, their planes. You guys lost billions of dollars doing this shit? Y'all suck ass. At least one of the news clips I saw and reacted to. And also, he didn't like. It's just listen. Quoting the White House is not going to help you out, kid. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the screams like paid actors, bro. Like, who are these people that are running around here? Somehow they know the minute details of these things over here, but not this other stuff. How does that make sense? And also, I'm sorry, which is going to come up a bunch of times, right? Of not starting any new wars. Like, get that bullshit talking point out of here. Throw that in the trash can. If you're perpetuating any type of war thing, then you're perpetuating it. You're a part of it. If you plant the seeds that lead to the fucking war happening, guess what? You're a part of it. Let's get real about this and not just play these semantical word games for that's meant for campaign season versus like actual geopolitics. But, you know. Sorry, I'll shut up and let the experts speak. My bad. Here we go.
Let me ask you these questions. This
Right.
question about these other conflicts that you've named. Were those
Right.
part of the 2024 campaign? Did
Not
anyone ever
necessarily, but I
mention
don't
that?
think that-
Right, but you know why? Because they're completely trivial, and because the role that the United States
they're not
plays in them
trivial.
is also essentially trivial as well.
So-
These are these, and
They're not
a lot,
trivial,
we can
Glenn.
analyze
Glenn,
them.
Glenn, they're not trivial. Like, if the U.S. says Cambodia or whoever or Thailand, whoever, do this, or we're gonna overthrow your country, or we're gonna fuck you over somehow. Guess what? They're probably gonna do it. They're probably gonna do it. And who knows if these interactions now don't lead to something further on, which is, in my opinion, the real way to look at these things and not just look at isolated incidents. And, once again, announcements from the president to feel better about himself as he does other fucking murdering shit around the world. In Venezuela, at the thing, they killed at least, I think, up to 80 people just for that one little operation, which is, as they said, an act of war. Let's hit play. Here we go.
Sure.
But let's be clear. The real question is, does President Trump make war for the United States?
chairs?
Whether
The
he
answer is
plays
no.
some ancillary role in this.
Stupid.
Well, we're in a major war.
Well, so let's
we're in a
clarify
major
two
war
things.
now,
So when it
right?
came to
We're in a
Venezuela-
major war, aren't we? In Iran?
I mean, sure, we're in a conflict, but I don't think this is where you actually
A
got it
war?
wrong.
Is
with
it
the
a
last
war?
guy.
Is it a
You
war?
can call it's a war and a conflict. There's no necessary there's no disagreement there. It's a conflict and a war. It's both, right? But the conflict didn't start recently, right? In 1979, Iran kidnapped 66 Americans and held them hostage for over 400 days,
Oh, now
right?
there's
So
backstory Why did they
that
do that?
happened because they're anti-Western. But hold on, just let me finish this. So the conflict with Iran, or our issues with Iran, in reference to specifically the Islamic Republic, started more there. In 1982, 3 years later specifically, there was the Beirut barracks bombing, which I'm sure you're familiar with, where 242 Americans were killed in Beirut. They were there as a peacekeeping force,
repeated in
actually.
the White
And
House,
guess
okay.
who specifically? I
Good
believe in
actor.
2002, a federal judge actually ruled that Iran supplied Hezbollah and gave them intelligence to kill 242 Americans. On top of that, I believe in Venezuela, they have the Quds Force as well that is there. They fund three main terror groups. According to the FDD, they spent about $16 billion doing so, right? Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen. And by the way, the last guy, you were also wrong. $200 billion worth of economic damage in reference to the Red Sea, where 1/10 of trade
Were
goes
we at
through.
war with Iran when President Trump was inaugurated?
No, we weren't directly in
Are we
in
at war
terms of-
now?
Right. So
So
I
he
think
made
I would,
that
I
war,
would say,
right?
wait,
He
hold
was
on,
a
hold
war
on,
maker.
hold on, stop.
No,
So
I mean,
I'd say
wait,
that
you talked a lot. I just
I
wanna
would
get
say
an
that we're
answer.
already in a conflict. I would say that yes, generally, not like war in terms of declaring war conspicuously, but yes, we've been in a conflict, a long-standing
the
conflict
proposition
specifically.
is President Trump is more of a war-making
Right.
president.
I don't think any of those
than
conflicts were made by Trump. That's where you're wrong.
Indian.
Well, Glenn, all you have to do is bring up, well, this was Trump's excuse to go bomb Iran and then piece through that. Go through that. Like, oh, well, maybe we've been in a conflict, so-called conflict with Iran for many decades, but did he lie just to get us further into conflict with Iran? Oh, he lied. Okay, so like, but who does like? Wait, well, if we're already like there, if it's already the precedent is already set, why do we need to lie to get into it? Oh, the trick dumb fucks like you. Got it. We're here. They're doing that to trick you, idiots. What else could they be lying about? What about Soleimani and the IEDs? But what else? What else could they be lying about? Potentially. Begs the question now if we're going to talk about reality versus, playing musical chairs for a game show. There's maybe, I don't know. Let's play and hear more from the experts.
Pakistan were in conflict prior to the war that you mentioned,
and
right?
we were in conflict with Iran.
Exactly.
Prior
There
to
are a lot
this
of people
as
who
well.
are there are a lot of countries that are in conflict with one another.
Right.
They're not
agree.
all at war. Most of them are not at war. The United States became in a war with Iran when Israel and the United States announced that they were attacking Iran and started a war with Iran. Of course, there's conflicts. There's conflicts between Brazil and Argentina.
Sure.
There's conflicts between Peru and Uruguay. There's conflicts
you're being vague.
I'm being very specific. I'm talking about a war.
So there's a difference between smaller conflicts or like a general conflict that's going on for a long time and like a large scale war and even like, for example, small military engagements. Like, for example, Midnight Hammer, we bombed Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan were more smaller engagements, right? And by the way, we pulled that pretty quickly.
If Russia
That's called relative. That's relative. Like, well, hey, man, if you look at 9/11, it was one event and then they're done, right? But we still, war on terror happened, right? But when it comes to Al Qaeda and their announcement of, like, hey, we're going to, we're going to fight, the imperialists or whatever the fuck their idea is, right? We're going to fight the Western people. We're going to bring America to its knees. But there's only one day, right? Basically, 3,000 people compared to 300 million people at the time. Only 3,000. So when we do these things, when we bomb these places in Iran along with Israel, and a good amount of people die, but obviously for these dumb fucks, they don't matter. So of course, like, just a small engagement, When it's Venezuela, small engagement. It's here, it's all out war, right? That's just using logic and common sense and observation and not being a dumb fuck, sit in front of the classroom, little fuck face, right? Little goody two-shoe fuck face. All right, here we go.
Everything was fine afterwards.
If Russia came to the United States and bombed 3 different nuclear facilities in the United States with B-52 bombers of the Russian Soviet analog, would you consider that to be an act of war?
Yeah, you're saying it would be casus belli, right?
No, I'm not
casus
talking about
belli means act of war.
Yeah, would you?
So it would be casus belli. That's the answer.
Okay, congratulations.
I told you he's front of the classroom, little dweeb kid. Little try hard. Because someone broke his heart in his life. All right, here we go.
Means act of war.
Yeah, would you?
So it would be casus belli. That's the answer.
Okay, congratulations on using Latin. I'm just wanting to. I don't want to necessarily test your language. That would be an act of war, right?
Yeah, the same way. Hold on. The same way that, for example, the IRGC, the Pakistani guy that was recently convicted, he admitted that the IRGC paid him and tried to give him intelligence to assassinate Donald Trump around the time where Butler happened. That's also casus belli.
Were we
the
at
fact
war
that the
with
IRGC
Iran
tried to kill our president.
Were we at war?
Wait, where's the drawing at? Show the. Go ahead and bring up the drawing. They showed the picture on Fox News of the intelligence that Iran gave the guy. It was like lined legal paper with like a square with another square on top of it. Like, shoot here. I mean, like hand drawn too, not like not even using like a ruler or a T-square, just straight up hand drawn, crooked ass square. Shoot there. There's your map to take it out, Trump. Oh fuck, that's hilarious. All right, here we go. I was showing can I find that image? Whatever. Maybe I put it in the description box. Here we go.
Happened. That's also casus belli.
Were we at war with Iran
tried to kill our president?
Were we at war with Iran?
Were we at war with Iran? We've been in conflict and an act of war with Iran for a very long time.
Okay, but and
it's funny that you're not mentioning. You're not mentioning the fact that 242 Americans were killed in Beirut in 1982.
The United States has killed countries throughout the Middle East. You know what President Reagan did in response to that? He said the reason this happened is because we have a military base in Lebanon where we shouldn't be, and he withdrew those troops. That's because he knew that the reason we were being attacked was because we were interfering in that region.
Yeah, we were there
the
as a
reason that Iran took over and the embassy was because we had overthrown their democratically elected government in 1953 and imposed a savage, brutal tyranny on them that ruled that country from 1953 until the revolution in 1979.
Sure.
But these are all historically interesting points that we could talk about with the justification. No, it's not wrong. The point is, I asked you earlier, was the United States at war with Iran?
The answer is yes.
But you said said no. And
it depends on how you're defining war. It depends on how you're defining war and long-term conflict. But let me hold on.
The point is, we were not at war, as you said the first time when I asked you, with Iran when President Trump took office. He didn't talk about there being a war throughout.
No, he talked about in 2011,
and we are now in a war because
even by the way,
he made a war.
He continued said Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. By the way, can you explain to me the reason for 60% rich uranium? No country that has tried to, or even been in talks of trying to have a nuclear weapon, has ever reached 60% and not gotten to 90%.
Because President Trump invalidated the agreement where they were only at 3%. President Trump make this war.
No, that's not. The answer is no.
So we had been
at a general conflict with Iran, or you could say even a war. For
I am saying
over 47 years.
And President Trump just forgot to mention that we were at war when he was running for president in 2024. Never said, "Hey, by the way, we're at war with Iran."
He openly said, no. He's been very conspicuous about this. He's been very clear about the fact that we have a conflict with Iran. We have issues with Iran.
A war.
We
do have conflict.
Right. Again, I don't think you understand it. Wars can also be conflicts.
Exactly,
So
but conflicts aren't necessarily wars. The question is, was there a war with Iran? And if so, why didn't President Trump bother to mention, hey, by the way, we're at war with Iran in 2024? And
he's been very conspicuous about it.
So the war didn't start.
What would be the incentive? Just like, hey, we're at war with Iran? Look, everyone understands that we've been at a long-term conflict.
Nobody understood because it was never true. It was,
and by the way,
we got to pause here. Can we just hear your response?
Hyper edited. Okay.
And then we got to stop.
Yeah, there were several wars that President Trump started in Yemen, Venezuela, and Iran. You can say they're just or not, but these wars did not exist. Nobody said they existed during the 2024 campaign, including President Trump. And when he announced them, he announced them as with the United States in 2024.
All right, pause.
Yeah. Good talk to you. Yeah.
Also, by his own logic, if he says all that, and Glenn should have stuck on this point, the 1950s, the overthrow, where it's clear as day, and then people in Iran knew that U.S., entanglement there and overthrowing their democratically elected government and then replacing the fucking leader, and then that actually led to the 79 thing that he's saying, like, see, that's the beginning of it. See, this is when Iran started their fucking 47 years. Like, yeah. Then you have to go back to the 50s too. You have to. But once again, this is another, pencil neck dweeb, stuffed locker dweller motherfucker. In front of the classroom, repeating the White House with, full breath repeating the White House with no critical thinking behind it. But he talks fast, right? And he memorized some things. But at the end of the day, it's like, this guy's actually, don't be tricked by this. That guy's fucking stupid. He's stupid by vantage point. He sees the low ground at best, when you can just stand like a couple feet up the hill and see much more of the vista. Don't let fuck faces like that. Listen, that's Ben Shapiro right there. That is Ben Shapiro. It's Black Ben Shapiro. I talk fast and I regurgitate information, but I have no real substance to it. And in fact, most of what you're hearing is just Dick Cheney with young guy look, young guy clothing, and an afro. But that's just Dick Cheney. You just heard right there. And his speaking fast and playing semantics with terms maybe tripped Glenn up a little bit. I don't know. I don't think it tripped him up intellectually, but as far as him trying to talk, tripped him up. And that's all that was. That's smoke and mirrors. That's a magic trick. That's not. I know people. I'm telling you right now. This is why I'm saying this, because I think people will fall for that. People will fall for it because he talks clearly and fast. That doesn't mean substance. That doesn't mean intelligence. It just means word vomit of Dick Cheney, George W. Bush, Donald Trump, Barack Obama talking points for why we blow people up and destroy homes and all that shit. Excuses for it. Well, let's hit play. Here we go. Someone's gonna fall for that. Someone will fall for that.
Hello, how are you?
And this shit looks.
Okay, nice to meet you too.
This shit looks heavily fucking sketchy as fuck to me. Actually acting room or acting class type of shit, bro. Or the editing looks weird, but that's okay. It's a play.
Okay, so I want to get back to the
add
part
our substance to the conversation.
about peace
Also,
versus war. So the way I look
joining
at
MAGA
it is
if
the
she's in
first
it.
Trump administration was a peaceful
She's in it, I'm joining
administration.
MAGA.
There was no new wars that were started, right? We have the Abraham Accords, which
Look
Trump
there,
should have won
too.
a Nobel Peace Prize for because it was historic. And then we had something that was ahistoric, right? So the Biden administration came in between. It kind of disrupted Trump's foreign policy. And under the Biden administration, we saw the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was really a green light to our anti-Western adversaries that we didn't really have the strong will to defend U.S. hegemony abroad. Following that, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. And then we saw Biden trying to re-engage in JCPOA negotiations as a legacy of the Obama administration. And he unfroze $16 billion in assets to the regime and then also waived sanctions.
No. There was no real attempts to re-engage the JCPOA. No. In fact, there was more talks of bombing Iran than going back into that. Because Iran was ready to yeah, I'll sign that shit. Hey, Trump's out. He pulled out a deal. Trump's out. Listen, we'll sign that shit, as far as I understand. But they probably wanted more guarantees. And once they asked for more guarantees, the U.S. was going to say no to that, obviously. And it wasn't about enrichment, by the way. And yes, we heard several Biden officials after, they can't say it while they're in office because, it'll piss people off. And this lady would be saying something different. If the Biden administration bombed Iran, this lady would be saying something completely different right now. She'd be like, look what Biden did. See? Look, we don't want war with Iran. Look what Biden did. Right? But now that Biden didn't do anything, and Trump does it, now it's okay, apparently. But yes, there's several Biden officials after Biden left office that were saying, yeah, we would have did the same shit if we got a second term. Whether it was Harris or Biden, we would have did the same shit. So it kind of kills all the points that this lady's probably about to make. Let's see if Glenn is aware of this, but let's hit play. Here we go.
And we saw Biden trying to re-engage in JCPOA negotiations as a legacy of the Obama administration. And he unfroze $16 billion in assets to the regime and then also waived sanctions so they could sell over $100 billion.
Whose assets were those?
They're theirs, but they're frozen.
Iran's assets.
Correct, but that's going against the maximum pressure campaign. So if you don't want war, how do you then deter a belligerent actor if it's not maximum sanctions? What was your solution?
They already did, and they still bomb them anyways.
In general, in every other country on the planet except the United States and Israel, war is talked about as a last resort, something that you engage in only if there's a country that's attacking you, or attacking your homeland, or attacking. What's that?
So the sanctions are a legacy of the Iraq-Iran war in the 1980s. So which war? We're talking about the current operation, which is not a war.
I'm talking about why we should be at war with Iran at all.
Right, the second.
And you're saying, what is it that we should be doing to Iran?
I'm saying my point with talking about the Biden regime, the Biden administration, was that they empowered. We could maybe use regime. They empowered the Iranian regime diplomatically, financially, which then positioned them for October 7th. And also the Houthis. It is true, the Houthis blocked off the Suez Canal for 4 to 5 months. We also had British military naval ships in the region, U.S. military ships. So they weren't just attacking Israel, although, yes, that was a part of it. So we saw a destabilized Middle East because of the direct empowerment
let me
Iran.
just, it's interesting because I think there's a very American perspective because we are a country that is constantly at war, unlike everybody else on the planet. The last time China fought a war was 1979, and one of the reasons they're displacing the United States and every region in the globe, including Latin America and Africa, is because they spend their resources building up their country while we have our country deteriorating because we spend so much time and money and effort and resources on foreign wars.
The other take is that they don't have the conventional capabilities to enact a full-out war.
They have a massive, gigantic military. They just don't. They just know that, which is what, by the way, which was what President Trump's primary political appeal was that we're constantly fighting these foreign wars. We have to stop fighting foreign wars in the Middle East so that we can focus on our own communities and our own country. And here we are back in another one. But I think the point about Iran is that the idea that we can just go and steal countries' money, as you said, it's Iran's assets. They have oil in their country. Let me just finish. They sell their oil to other countries. They receive money for it. We take that money using our dollar as the reserve currency. We steal it and freeze it, and then somehow I should also say that President Trump just lifted sanctions on Iranian oil at sea, enabling them to get huge amounts of money.
It was a good faith action for China.
No, it was because he needed to do that because we need oil on the global market because of oil. Because because gas prices are so high.
It's still lower than it was under the Biden administration.
No, I'm
at
saying
the peak of the Biden administration.
because of this war, President Trump lifted sanctions on Iranian oil at sea.
Yes, as
they
a
are now
goodwill to China
charging
to bring it to the
money. They are
negotiation
now
table.
charging money for the Strait
Poor
of Hormuz,
dummy
and
dweeby.
Yes, 'cause that's the only
and there's
tactic they
no
have
way
left.
there will be an end to this war that we're currently negotiating unless the sanctions are lifted on Iran.
They're
They're
racist.
completely wiped out at the knee. Let me just get back to what I was saying about the Biden administration because it's important. So we look at how diplomacy has never worked. The JCPOA completely empowered the regime. Same thing with Biden again. So Trump came into a region that was completely changed. Also just globally, right? I believe the Iranian regime bought 2.5 million acres in Venezuela, which is in our Western Hemisphere. So he came into a world where our anti-Western adversaries had gained strategic
China buys
holdings
land in
that
America. I don't get
hinder
your point.
U.S. hegemony abroad. So he went into the region and he said, okay, I'm going to negotiate with the Iranian regime. They didn't come as good faith actors to the negotiation table. Operation Midnight Hammer was a preemptive strike. They still continued
Was
to come
Biden
to
at
the
war with
table.
Iran?
I would say, yeah, it's hard to be at war with a regime that you're funding.
So Biden was not at war with Iran?
Well, we were at war with Iran via Israel, if you want to look at it as a proxy situation.
So Biden was fighting a war against
and also
Iran?
another thing, you keep saying that Trump started wars
No,
in Yemen,
I'm trying to
in
figure out if
Lebanon.
we
Again,
about
but those
this
are
war.
proxy wars funded by Iran.
Was
those,
the United
those
States at
conflicts
war
existed
with,
way before President
was
Trump came into
Biden
office.
waging a war against Iran?
He was funding the regime and empowering them.
Okay,
so the answer is no. It's really hard to wage war against a regime that
exactly.
you're
So the
propping
war
up.
in Iran was started by President Trump in the second
The
term,
war
correct?
in Iran is First off, it's not a war. It's an operation. We have highly discriminately taken out
What
heads
would
of
be
the
a war
IRGC.
be? How is it not a war?
Well, it's not a war because the Iranian regime
We're
can't
blowing up
respond
their
in a way
bridges.
that
We're
necessitates
blowing up
war.
their bridges.
Yes, it's an
We're
operation.
blowing up their,
and they've been blowing
what's
up the
difference
Middle East
between a war and an
since.
No, I'm just trying. Again, the proposition we're supposed to be discussing,
Right,
and I
he's war
realize why
making.
you don't want to and others don't want to. Is
No, I am.
President,
I'm
no,
demonstrating
let me,
how
let
the
me,
regime
I have
was
to,
empowered when Trump
you have
came
to let
to
me
office,
finish.
so it
You
necessitated
have
a
to let-
response that was different
you
than his
have to let
first
me finish.
administration when there was peace through
President?
strength.
You have to let me finish.
Peace
What
through
the
strength.
question we're supposed to be debating
Which
is that
I answered.
President Trump is more of a war-making president
And I
than a
just said he
peacemaking
came into a
president.
situation in the Middle East that was vastly different than the one that he
No,
left
I
because
understand.
of
I
weak
understand.
foreign
I'm
policy.
trying to ask about war,
Okay, so
which
no,
is
what is the response then? So if it's not high pressure
was
sanction
President
action-
Biden waging a war on Iran? Yes or no?
Well, if you're talking about responding
Can you just
to all,
answer that? Why
so
can't
then
you
yes,
answer?
If Iran is considered the Houthis, the Hezbollah, Hamas, then yes, we
President
were waging
Biden
a war.
was waging a war on
yes,
Iran.
via our
I
proxies.
thought you said he was so favorable to Iran that he
I
was
said
treating
he
Iran
empowered
so
the
well.
regime. Yeah, both sides of the conflict, but he empowered the regime.
Were we at war not with Iran's proxies, but with Iran itself under
well,
Joe Biden?
Iran actually broke the status quo of not engaging with Israel, our greatest ally, in May of
Did Joe
2024.
Biden wage a
Israel
war on
greatest
Iran?
ally. She's like,
It's not. First off,
what is this shit? With Israel, our greatest ally. Like, why'd you have to sneak that in? These are paid actors, bro. These are paid actors. Who are these people? I have to reset. Oh, fuck. Fuck me, dude. These aren't real people. There's no fucking chance these people are real. These are not real people. No one is like this under the age of fucking 30 years old. Yeah. Sorry, probably under the age of 50 years old. No one's just actually just like that. Get the fuck out of here. These are paid fucking actors. No chance. No chance. I hear people's arguments of like Glenn Greenwald is like a paid actor, or like he's full of shit and an actor and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't just run there like that. I try to give people a fair chance. But what I'm hearing from these fucking kids, I'm like, yo, who funds you? So now I'm like, who gives you money to do this shit? Like, there's no like, there's brainwashing. Like, let's say they aren't getting paid. Like, there's brainwashing. Then there's like, yo, what the fuck is this? What is this? Like, do you guys have like real friends? Like, for real? It's just like no one's that hardcore in love with this orange this 80-year-old man who's lived a life of fucking luxury, groping women, all this shit. Then he gets in office and blows people up, and they're like, you know what? He's the man. No one's that like that, bro. No one's like that can string sentences together. Get the fuck out of here. These are paid actors. No fucking chance. But you know what? I'll hit play. Here we go.
again,
Why
I
can't
am
you just
contesting-
answer? Why can't you just
I just
answer?
said yes. If you're going to consider via proxies, which
No,
you
I'm not. I don't
apparently-
mean via proxy. I mean
Well,
directly
you
with
said,
Iran.
Okay, but you're contradicting yourself because you said Trump started wars
I'm
in
only
Yemen,
asking a
and you defined it by
question.
the
I'm
proxies
only
in
asking a
Yemen. So you can't
question.
define war one way for Trump
I'm
and
only
not
asking
with
a
Biden.
question.
We got to pause there. We're out of time. Please return.
Dude, the Yemen thing was direct hits by the U.S. Like, Trump directly bombed them, right? He was showing off his prayer circle bombings. He did, like, hey, here's these people praying. Like, blow them up. That's right. Get some. Get some. Direct bombings. Venezuela, direct bombings. It's excuse fentanyl, duh. The president's a drug dealer, so you know what? We get to blow up anyone we want to in Venezuela, which is what they did. So, once again, and I expect, if I had said that to this lady, I expect make believe, like, debate club, but there's no real, like, there's no real skin in the game type of thing. Like, I'm sorry, my intuition's like these are paid actors. The way the whole setup, the whole way the show set up, and the people that are talking, like, you guys, like, did you guys do like auditions for this? Probably, right? Like, because this is like, it looks so fakery to me. They made it look like Glenn's the only real one there. They made it seem that way. From the editing to the way these kids talk, like what? No ounce of like humanity to it. It's just debate club argumentation with no skin in the game, which means dumbasses. Like sophisticated dumbasses. They can say words out loud, but is there anything to it? Okay, I guess we'll keep going. I guess there's a new topic after this. Once again, who knows how long I'd make it through this. Let's see the topics. Here we go. If the topic sucks, I'm just skipping it. But here we go.
Raise your flag if
she walks out of the building. She rips that fucking dot. She's wearing like a belly button rings and wearing a free Palestine shirt or something. It's like, yeah, do it for the cash, bro. Good to get paid.
you would concede that Trump started this current war with Iran. Okay, so we got two people. Thank you.
My next round of
Just switch it up, Glenn. Just be like, switch it up to a different. Let's go to Barack Obama and be like, okay, did he start a war with? What could I think of? Libya. Like, did he start a war with Libya? Did Barack Obama start a war with Libya? Ask that question, right? He did something very simple. Well, kind of similar to the Venezuela situation, which they're also saying is not a war. We'll say it's an active war, but it's not war itself because whatever that standard is, whatever that reason is, doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, but yeah, we kind of destroyed a country in Libya. The Somalia count is that? Does that start? Did Barack Obama start that war? Syria? I'm sure they'll say no to Syria. They'll be like, oh, that was a civil war the entire time. It's just civil war. Nothing suspicious here. But, like, just switch up the teams, like, to make it as dumb guy logic as possible to see if these guys have any answers for that. But once again, I'm smelling full of shit artist. Full of shit. What's up? Here we go.
claim is President Trump is subservient to the Israel lobby.
If you'd like to debate this claim, please get to the chair in 3,
Throw me in
2,
there.
1.
All right, that's when you tag Jordan in. Okay, let me argue that one with Glenn. Because that is as nonsense as it gets. All right, here we go. Let's hear these
Thank Mattel. Okay, I think important thing to do with debates is to define our terms. Can you please tell me what subservient is?
Yes, serving the interest of someone else, taking orders from somebody else, taking direction from somebody else, not in every case, but as a general posture ethos.
Okay, so that's already a problem because subservient doesn't mean not sometimes taking the case, sometimes not. Subservient is literally defined as in a subordinate manner you are controlled by in a very direct way.
You want to
yes, but also I just want to add this in. Is Trump subservient to the Israeli people? Of course he's not. Of course he's not. Even if he was subservient to anything over in Israel, it's definitely not for the regular people that live there. No fucking chance. So thus you have to say it's to the government. Okay. Has any U.S. president been subservient to its people? I don't fucking think so. I don't fucking think so. Maybe let's not say ever. Let's do more modern era. Let's do more modern era. Right? In modernity, have they been subservient to the American people? Fuck no. Get the fuck out of here. Not in my lifetime. So then, okay. So one government entity working alongside another government entity, both saying fuck, they're both saying fuck you to the people. By the way, Israeli government not serving the Israeli people either. So see how that kind of clears it up to where like this whole idea of subservience from instead of being subservient to his own people, he's subservient to Israel. Well, you mean a few people in Israel. And even before him, were they subservient to American people? They fucking weren't. So thus there's no, what are we talking about then? It looks more like collusion than it looks like subservience in the first place, honestly, if you look at it. So yeah, this would be, once again, I would be on the opposing side of Glenn Greenwald on this, but guess what? It's a setup question with a setup topic that gets people fucking nowhere, most likely. When it comes to critical thinking, when it comes to examining how we got here in the first place, this is a dumb fuck assessment. And it's on repeat now. It's the new craze. It's the new thing to say that will end up working against them at some point because the little Pied Pipers will lead you down a dark alley to where you get fucked up. You turn your back, you get fucked up. Not necessarily saying that's Glenn Greenwald, but there's plenty of people out there repeating these talking points that will lead you down off a fucking cliff, in my humble opinion. Well, let's hit play and here. It's here. Here we go.
Set it up so that if you can point to one example
controlled by in a very direct way.
You want to set it up so that if you can point to one example where President Trump didn't do what Israel wanted, then that means somehow he's not subservient to Israel. That's
Sure, right
you're
now.
just want to creating a binary framework where as long as you can point to one example
I can
where
point
the
to many
Israelis
examples,
wanted
actually.
something. Right. So that's why I'm saying that is not what this proposition means. It doesn't mean that in each and every case President Trump is fully and absolutely obedient to Israel. That if you want me to concede that there are instances, I will be happy to point to some as well where President Trump or other presidents. So that's not the question.
I understand. I'm saying that your claim, it's your claim. I didn't force you to make the claim. Your claim is not there's high influence. Your claim is not any of that. Your claim is he's subservient. And if you're going to say he's subservient, that means something. Now, if we want to change what you're saying and you just want to say he has higher influence from, when you say pro-Israeli, do you just mean Jews? What do you mean by that?
No, of course I don't mean Jews. There are huge numbers of Jews.
These are paid actors. There we go.
When you say pro-Israeli, do you
Like
just mean
Glenn's
Jews? What do you mean
that
by
doesn't
that?
make any sense. So.
No, of course I don't mean Jews. There are huge numbers of Jews who oppose Israel.
I'm asking, well, generally when I debate this topic, a lot of people will say like, you know, the Adelsons, right? Because they're Jewish, they're Israeli. Or do you mean pro-Israel like you're talking about AIPAC, you're talking about J Street?
People talk about George Soros, but nobody suggests that he's pro-Israel. The reason people talk about the Adelsons is because they gave $300 million to Trump's campaigns, and Trump himself said that every time the Adelsons came to the White House, they didn't ask about the United States, they asked for things for Israel. Trump went to the Knesset last year and said Miriam Adelson loves Israel more than they love the United States.
Is Trump subservient to Elon Musk?
No, I don't think Trump is subservient to
Elon Musk, at least in this last election cycle, gave significantly more than the Adelsons.
Right, he's one individual. He's one individual.
Exactly. One individual gave more than two, and also the lobbying groups. But that being said, what is it that makes you think he's controlled in at least a significant way by whatever you're saying?
What President
by Israel? Okay, so he's doing a conflation thing that Netanyahu does, which would be perfect for Glenn Greenwald to argue against. I think it's an easy setup to argue against. And you could actually make the case that, yes, once again, my word is not subservient. These guys are gangsters working together. And if I apply that idea to people in the Israeli government and Elon Musk, yeah, it's patently obvious. You look at contracts that they give away to AI companies, including, XAI, which is Elon Musk's thing, and other government contracts the guy gets, and PR shit the guy gets, and on and so forth. Direct White House meetings the guy gets. Government positions that aren't official government positions that the guy gets. Like, come on. Like, you don't see that he's getting stuff out of those. No one sees that. Like, come on. So, once again, Glenn ends up putting his foot in his mouth in a way by using this word subservient when I see business partners. Creepy, crawly, devil-worshipping fuckfaces working together to make the world a worse place. Now, in their minds, it's a better place because they're terraforming it in their own image. But in reality, for regular people that don't have extreme versions of pathology, they're making it worse. In my humble opinion. And that's in my opinion, the real diagnosis. Not he's owned by them, he's subservient. Like, no, they just have very similar interests. And it's like, why not? Is it, hey, BB, you have access? Okay, Oh, you want this? Okay, fine. What do I give a fuck? It doesn't hurt my life. It doesn't hurt me and mine, so what the fuck do I care? Yeah, it'll blow up some kids. Like, I don't give a shit about that. Oh, it'll hurt some American, like regular American people. What the fuck do I care about that? No, I've been doing that my whole career, from government and before government. I've been harming American citizens. Like, what the fuck does that matter to me? And then you look at something where it's like, okay, this is part of the bigger plan, BB. We need to fuck up Iran, okay? We got Syria done. We need Iran to go down now too, okay? Now it looks like a joint task. I think that's patently obvious too. I think it really is like, hey, this whole thing where everyone's like, look, staring at Israel. Look what Israel's doing. That whole thing looks like a setup almost. Not to set up Netanyahu or Ben Gvir or these fucking creepy crawlies in the Israeli government, or they're higher up, their apparatus, right? It's not to go at them. Like the backlash is going to hit regular Israeli people, right? From soldiers that go over there, have PTSD, and end up killing themselves when they get home, which has happened plenty of fucking times, by the way. Or the youth that are against these wars getting their teeth kicked in over in fucking Tel Aviv somewhere. That's another thing as well. But it's not gonna hurt these other guys, these higher ups, if you will. They're fine. They're chilling. And when there's some sort of idea that they want to both move towards, which is take Iran down, why not use the perception of, hey, Israel's controlling it. It's a war for Israel. Greater Israel Project. Like all these little key word terms you're hearing over and over again. Where maybe that could be the end goal in a way of like greater Israel. But what's happening in real time, in my opinion at least, this is my guess, is that like, oh, we both want this to happen. We want Iran to go down for whatever reason. That's what I'm saying. And if the apparatus was wholesale against it, they wouldn't be part of it. That's what I think. I don't think it's a strong arm one way or another. It's, hey, we're trying to fuck the world up. And, they think they're making it better, but we're trying to fuck the world up. And this is part of the plan. Let's do it. Let's apply. Here we go. It's like Glenn can't say that. He's shackled or a full shit artist. Let's apply. Here we go.
President Trump said that every single time Sheldon Adelson came to the White House, they asked for things for Israel and he gave it to them. They didn't ask for things for the United States. He said that
Adelson, he didn't say he gave everything they asked for.
Yes, he did. He said
no.
He said every time. He said in fact,
the Golan Heights.
They asked. He gave them even things that they didn't ask for Israel, not for the United States.
He did not tell them times where they had talks where they disagree. He never talked about that. I know exactly which quote you're talking about. You're adding that in to push your narrative right now.
I'm not
but
adding
that being
anything.
said, we're not here to talk about just the Adelsons. We're here to talk about the pro-Israel lobby. I'm asking you, how do you know that they are controlling Trump at least in a significant enough way to whatever your claim means?
What I'm saying is that President Trump makes decisions in the interest of the Israeli people and the Israeli government over and above the American people, and it's the only country for which that's true. That is
absolute bullshit, in my humble opinion. That is absolute bullshit. For the Israeli people, like, who do you mean? I think he means, once again, I think that's just the government, not fucking regular Israelis. If they went against American or Israeli government doctrine, they get their fucking teeth kicked in. We've seen it already. Allegedly. Could be AI for all I know, but I'm pretty sure we've heard enough reports that seems to be the case. If you're an American for all this stuff and you're willing to, play the dirty game, play the dirty business, guess what? You get favoritism. If you're against it, you get your fucking teeth kicked in. Whether literally or, figuratively. Let's apply. That's such a dumb fucking, that's, to me, just no thinking behind it type of statement. That's PR. That's selling something versus trying to analyze what's actually happening. Holy fuck. Here we go.
subservience.
Okay.
We can go back to the semantic definition, but that is what I mean. And there's so many instances where President Trump has taken steps, and right now his entire focus is on a country that is Israel's primary adversary, that Israel has wanted for decades the United States to go in and change the regime.
I understand the
benefits of
hyperbole.
Israel.
His entire focus is not on that, but I get it. But my question for you,
I would hope
you
it
are
is.
Not,
it's a very dangerous war. He should be.
You're
I also just want to add real fast. You guys remember when Trump made his trip to the Middle East? What was that in summer of 2025? I think it was summer, right? Or before the Iran stuff. I think it was I think it was maybe spring or late spring. Made his trip to the Middle East and kind of made Israel calm down with bombing Gaza and said, hey, maybe there might be a Palestinian state, right? Although he didn't say that out loud, right? They had anonymous White House sources got thrown out into the news saying, hey, maybe President Trump's thinking about giving the Palestinians their own state. Trump's thinking about it, right? They put out reports like that all right before he makes his Middle Eastern trip where he got the airplane and the visits to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE and all that shit, right? Why would he do that? Why would he do that? The impression I got was he was saying these things to cool the jets down in the Middle East so people aren't, say he has a safe security trip through the Middle East, right? Is that hardcore support? Is that hardcore, like, just following Israeli doctrine, or is he, like, also working with Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, being like, hey, man, if you show up here with this whole gun-ho blow-up Gaza shit, guess what? Our people will get pissed off. Is that Trump caring about the people of Saudi Arabia? Or is that Trump saying, yeah, these are my partners and my teammates. Let me make sure they're okay. Fuck the people there. Fuck their opinions. I'm here for the prince, the crown prince, the king, whoever the fuck, right? And the fucking money. Like, how do we not notice that? But Glenn, once again, unless Glenn is saying, like, listen, Trump cares so much more about the Saudi Arabian people than he does about Americans, that he's willing to say, you know what, I might give Palestine a state because he cares so much about the Saudi Arabian people over Americans, that is. Like, it's stupid on its face. It's stupid. It's a stupid notion with no real substance backing it up, in my humble opinion. And then that's it. Like, whatever. Let's hit play. This kid would have plenty of arguments in that direction if he wasn't a dumbass. Let's hit play. Here we go.
His entire focus is on a country that is Israel's primary adversary, that Israel has wanted for decades the United States to go in and change the regime.
I understand the hyperbole. His entire focus is not on that, but I get it. But my question for you,
I would hope it is. It's a very dangerous war. He should be.
Your argument, you trying to prove your argument's failing because what you're saying is that he is just giving everything they want as if
I didn't say that.
Actually, you literally said that. You said he gave everything they want.
I said at the start, I would
rewind the clip.
I said at the start, if you want to prove that there are times when Trump doesn't give everything to Israel, I would concede that it's not a binary absolute framework.
I'm trying to get my question.
Do you remember when I said that?
I do remember when you said that, and I remember when you contradicted yourself a few seconds later.
What did I say when I contradicted myself?
I already said this point, but here's the problem. When he said that people go in, we want this, and he's like, I don't really agree with that. It's like, well, we'll give you some more money. It's like, okay, I agree with it now. How do you know Trump doesn't just already align with the same ideology?
The reason I know is because President Trump spent a full decade promising people like you and everyone else who voted for him that he was not going to involve the United States in more Middle East wars, in more regime change wars. That is the basis and foundation for Trump's entire political movement. Israel comes to the...
That is implied, Glenn, but you're also, what you're implying right now, right? When it comes to words, yes, Trump has said things on the campaign trail here or there about, like, ending wars and being a peacetime type of guy and no new wars and drain the swamp and all that stuff. But I'd more go with the word implied. He implied it through PR and campaigning that he's going to do these things. Obviously, all bullshit, right? But what you're implying, Glenn, hold on. You're implying that he meant it at one point and Israel changed his mind the next? That he meant all these peaceful statements, that he actually meant it. You're kind of implying that, Glenn. And if you're saying that, holy shit, are we beyond the word stupid? And honestly, that would be a pretty good sign for saying, "Oh, full of shit artists." That's some full of shit to say. For whatever reason, maybe it's protect your own name, as in like, man, I can't believe I got this Trump guy so fucking wrong that I fell for him just saying words out loud over and over again when everything showcased the opposite. I'm sorry. You could say 10 years, Glenn, but guess what? He got in office at some point. At some point, he got in office, and you could see, like, wait a minute, this guy isn't some fucking peacenik, save the world guy. He's part of the destruction group, isn't he? To be fair to Glenn, let's hear it out. Let's see if he actually is implying that Trump meant it, and then Israel changed his mind, because that would be, holy God. Good God. Here we go.
Else who voted for him that he was not going to involve the United States in more Middle East wars, in more regime change wars. That is the basis and foundation for Trump's entire political movement. Israel comes to the United States, and there's no way to compare Israel to any other country. Netanyahu came 7 times. No other world leader came twice.
Showed up
we give billions and billions of dollars to Israel. I thought I let you talk, and yet you sit there and say, let me talk, and then I get 6 words out, and can't control yourself.
Go ahead,
so there's no comparison. We give infinitely more money to Israel. We deploy our military forces to protect Israel. President Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu came 7 times, and then when he was done coming, Donald Trump turns around and does exactly what he's been promising for a decade that he wouldn't do, which is he goes to war in the Middle East, a regime change war in the Middle East against Israel's primary enemy, after Netanyahu spent 30 years saying, this is what we want the United States to do. That is how I know that President Trump does things that Israel tells him to, even though he doesn't already believe it.
Okay, well, first off, that's not...
So he's not even implying, he's directly saying it. Like, Trump doesn't actually believe in this. It's just Israel made him do it. It's like, he could have just lied, Glenn. Like, Obama doesn't believe in, fighting these senseless war on terror wars. Maybe he lied during the campaign, Glenn. You can't be that stupid. There's something off there. You can't be that stupid. There's no fucking way you're that dumb. I'll let this one just play out. Like, that should be self-evident. That should be obvious as fuck. That should be blatantly obvious.
Wait a minute. I'm actually what's wrong with him? The thing is that I actually agree with him somewhat in that move, because the thing is that the community, right? Whatever Trump says, blah blah, who cares, right? Like, but the thing is that the community.
That's the question of the argument. Just so you know, you can say who cares, but that's a question of the argument. But go ahead.
But the mega community, right, was there to really stand against the war, and that's why right now, what you see happening is in terms of the MAGA falling apart, which they're reporting on, right, which they're still attributing to these podcasters, but that's why it's happening, because that community was less willing to accept that, which is the reason why it's better and why we have the disruption going on right now. If it was the Democrats, there would not be this disruption.
I don't know if that's true, first off. Second off, everyone that's here arguing, once again, unless you are these guys fake MAGA? People that Glenn's arguing
This guy
with?
just wants to win. Whether he's beyond MAGA, right? The thing is that this is his chance to flex on Glenn Greenwald. So this guy's trying to make a name for himself. So he's just trying to win.
Okay, then you'd have to say that about everyone that's talked so far. Although I think you weren't here when I played it.
This guy's whole energy just reads to me that way.
Okay, so but you probably have to say it about everyone else that talked so far.
I haven't seen them yet, so
I know, fair enough. But, right, I think based on what you just said right here, you'd have to say that
because he's being so aggressive about it, right? He's being extremely aggressive.
Okay, once again, I think you'd have to say that about the other people that talked. You don't
I
have
haven't
to.
seen them.
You don't have to believe me, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that. Either way, the question's the question, right?
I don't think they really care about these issues, to tell you the truth. I think they care
but we have
more about
a question.
money.
We have a question on the table. That's the question they're answering, right? They're debating on a question.
Okay.
Is President Trump subservient to the Israeli lobby? Right? That's the question. Now, what Glenn just said is that Trump believes in those quote unquote anti-war ideas, and then Israel convinced him otherwise, which I think is, just absolute bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. And it is what it is.
Okay. I'm sorry to go off topic, but it's just been crossing my mind. You heard about these things called the Star Whackers, right? And like how
No.
like Kanye, like how his personal trainer had like ties to like this Canadian CIA or something like that. All kinds of weird stuff going on.
Sure.
A lot of these Hollywood types, especially when they get political, have handlers, and this is definitely going on in the political world as well. I think President Trump is scared as hell. You know what I mean? These people are running ruthlessly. With Pam Bondi got throat cancer, Tulsi Gabbard's husband has bone cancer. These people are targets, and there's crazy things going on. If they're willing to lean on actors and stuff like that, what do you think they'll do to these politicians?
Sure, fair enough. But why don't you just grab the people that are already full of shit, which plenty exist.
So how do we even know whether
exists.
it's Israel or CIA? There's no way to know like who's doing what. You know what I mean? Is it a false flag operation? Right? There's no way to know.
No, I use my
We cannot
simple
know.
idea of like, well, he shouldn't be there. That's the first thing I say.
Who
I look at
knows what's
Trump.
going
I look
on?
at Trump. I say he shouldn't be there.
All right, I'm gonna just let this one go. So I just don't trust anything.
I
I cannot
but I'm
really
probably
operate
correct,
with
right?
any
I'm right about that, though, right? You agree with that? Like he shouldn't be there. And if you cheered for him
He shouldn't be where?
Trump should not be the president of the United States, right? On your standards, right?
What? No, didn't he win the election?
On your standards, he shouldn't be there on a qualitative level. Now, how many votes he got on a qualitative level? He should not be there, right?
I don't know about that. I mean, he is the
You
president.
don't know about what?
What quality? You mean qualitative or quantitative? What quality? Like because he's just
The
doesn't
quality level based on your standards of what quality means. He shouldn't be there,
because he doesn't
right?
have the quality of making the votes, the quality of having the temperament, or what's the problem? Is it the temperament? Is it the votes? Is it the legality?
We're getting into dumb territory.
What's the issue?
We're getting stupid here. I'm just gonna keep it moving. We're getting dumb here.
But if you could answer that one question, I really appreciate it because you're not really explaining.
You're
to
not
me.
answering
There's
my
a lot of
fucking question. I
qualities.
just gave you a blatant thing based on
You
your
said qualitatively he's not president, but I think
based on
qualitatively he
your
is.
idea of like this is good enough or good. Based on your idea of quality, is he good enough to be president?
The quality is, did he win the election? That's the quality that matters.
For you.
Whether I like him or don't.
For
It's
you.
just
for you. You're saying. Or you don't exist, you're saying. You don't exist, you're saying. Or you're saying like you do exist, but your standard is like he got enough votes, so he should be there. Is that your actual statement?
Yeah, that's the quality
that's your only standard
counts.
is that he got enough votes. That's your only standard.
That's the one that counts, isn't it? I mean, there's other come on.
There's people who have won votes and gotten fucking
overthrown. But it's really kind of a weak question because the thing is that there's already things in the Constitution for if they have like mental disease or things like that. But you just want to put me in a hole, right? I mean, there's other factors that could occur, like sickness or things like that. But I mean, what are you trying to achieve here? You're trying to put me in a hole so you can say, look, that's what this guy thinks and he's wrong. But it's just common sense that these other things like sickness or
you're fucking mind, my friend. That's okay though. That's okay.
How is that? Okay, whatever, man.
You don't understand what the word quality means by your standards? You don't
There's
understand
a lot of
what that
different
means
qualities.
in a sense?
There's a lot of,
you don't know what that means in a sense. Okay.
Qualities.
Pretend go with what you think I mean.
Quality.
Go with what you think I mean by that. What do you think?
No, I'm asking for clarification. Why can't you just clarify what's wrong with you?
Wrong with if I ask you for quality,
look,
yeah, you can say what's wrong with me, but come on, dude. Look in the fucking mirror, my friend. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm asking.
Bro. Look in the fucking mirror.
That's not a fair question.
So what? Quality of I thought votes is a
whatever.
Quantitative number of votes you won, but you're saying that's quality.
That's all I was asking. I did put it against quantity, but I would say the quality, right, of having completed that right successfully.
Okay.
Could be quality, right? So what quality are you talking about? His temperament or something like that?
Holy shit. If I hand you an apple and you eat it and I say, hey, based on what quality?
You can go ahead, man. Go ahead. You know what I mean? If you think you're really so much better, then you go ahead.
You don't know. You don't make sense, Ed. That's what I'm yelling at you. You don't realize you don't fucking make any sense.
I'm asking for clarification. And
I'm trying to give you one. You're not listening, are you? You're just here subverting.
Well, you're finally getting to it, but the whole way you're doing is really kind of, really unpleasant. So I really don't give a fuck. Like, go ahead, man. Go do you, bro. I'm just.
Let's try again. Let's try one more thing. One more thing. while you subvert my fucking video. Let's do one more thing. I hand you an apple, and you take a bite of it, and you eat it, and I say, okay, quality level. What do you think of the quality of that apple? You don't understand what the fuck that means? What do you mean? Like, do I like the color? Do I like the stem?
Not at all.
You don't know it. You wouldn't be able to, like, in normal talking, normal social talk, you don't understand what that means? The quality of the apple? You don't understand that? You don't get that.
Listen, maybe it's just because I have to.
If you watch a movie ad and I say, what was the
from a lot
quality of the
different,
movie
like,
to you?
cultural backgrounds, maybe it got to do with a lot of people. And the thing is that when people say different things, a lot of times it means different things in different contexts. So I
Okay.
deal with like a lot of different people from a lot of different countries and a lot of different like locations.
If I ask you the
And when they
quality
say
of a
something, it's
song, do you
different.
know what I mean by
It's
that?
different.
Ask you the
Sometimes I'm
quality of
with
the
a guy from
song.
Guyana, another
Oh,
dude
shit.
from Haiti, another you could laugh about it, man, but honestly,
I'm not laughing about it. I'm asking you, what if I
it's
asked you
very
about the
different for a
quality
lot
of a
different
song?
people, you know what I mean?
If I asked you about the quality of a song, what would you say?
Do you live in New York City, or do you have like do you live in like
shit,
an area with a lot of different like
I
immigrants and
know
stuff like
you're
that?
trying to. Why do people do
No,
this
I'm
with
dead
me? Where
serious,
they want to
bro.
like
I'm dead serious.
they want to outwin Jordan for some reason. I'm like, I'm not even that special. Like, I'm just fucking
Whatever,
talking.
man.
You're not fucking listening now.
No, you're being condescending, bro.
How am I being condescending? I'm trying to figure out what the fuck
Because
you're talking about. I'm like, hey, you don't like quality
I
of a
just asked for
song.
clarification.
Can you say that?
What do
Quality
you
of a
think? I got
song.
other things.
You understand like if I said, "Hey, is this song good to you?" You don't know what that means socially? You don't get that? By your standards, do you like this song? And you're like, "No, bro. Well, maybe I like this part." Like, why can't you just add that to your answer then? Add the little superlatives or the fucking extensions of descriptors. But maybe there might be a sense of an overall idea. But of course, that's too much to ask, and I'm condescending for asking it, apparently. Like, sorry, some things sound fucking stupid to me, and I'm letting it be known, man. It is what it is. Some things do sound fucking stupid. That's my qualitative levels. See? Anyways, I have to leave and come back real fast. Fucking hell, man. Alright, let's hit play. Here we go.
Actually not proof that he does. That's just an indication that you might be right, but I'm going to correct your quote. Actually, President Trump said multiple times, just off the top of my head, I'm sure I'm missing some. He said multiple times that he doesn't want to go straight to military action with Iran, but he has made it very, very clear that if negotiations are exhausted, I will use the military option.
For regime change?
Okay, first off, do you know what the 4 goals of the war are in Iran?
I'm asking you,
do you know what the 4 goals of the war are?
Did he ever,
what are they? Is it regime change?
They changed so many times.
No.
President Trump, there aren't 4 goals.
There has been 4 stated goals. You can go on the internet right now to the official government website and you will read the 4 goals. At the beginning of the war, Trump, in an interview with the Washington Post, said, my main goal and why I'm attacking Iran is to free the Iranian people. Is that one of the 4 goals that President Trump said was his most important objective when going to war with Iran? I'm going to concede something.
And press. Yeah. I want to arm the people. They're killing their own people. That's one of his excuses for blowing up Syria, too, in his first term and second term. In all his terms, basically, until the most recent, I guess, ex-Al-Qaeda appointee in Syria now. But, once again, how are we not making... Are we this stupid to not be able to point out, like, hey, maybe he lied. Maybe he's lying. Why can't we do that? This guy sounds like he's lying to me. How come we can't point that out? Why is it, well, he said this. Like, he could have been lying the entire time. Right? He could have been, trying to manipulate you to either get votes or be a narrative spinster, if you will. But Glenn is just going like this is kindergarten patty cake. It really is. But once again, when the standards of the argumentation is Glenn saying the stupid shit he said of, Trump meant this and then Israel changed his mind. And this guy who's just here to defend the Trump policy no matter what. It's like, seemingly at least, see how you get like a wishy-washy, no real feet on the ground, head in the clouds fucking argumentation. You just get dumb shit back and forth. In my humble opinion. Let's hit play.
I agree with you that President Trump speaks in very grandiose measures. He does. I'm not going to. Everything's the biggest thing ever, the most beautiful thing ever. It's the worst thing ever. I'm not going to disagree with you.
That was a stated goal of the war.
No, it was not. If you listen to our Department of War, if you listen to our Department of War, and by the way, you can go on.
It's the president that determines the war objectives.
I understand. Okay,
it's not the Department of War. It's the president.
That's not true. I was in the military for 12 years. That's not actually particularly true.
Who was your commander-in-chief? The Secretary of Defense?
No, it's not.
It was the president, right?
No. First off, that's not how objectives are attained. You're right. He agrees with them or disagrees with them. And again, I agree. Trump will go on interviews and he will say stuff
who sets war goals for the United States?
Well, first off, it's actually a complex measure of how it goes out. Are you asking who agrees with the finalized goals?
When a war started, who determines what the goals of the war are?
Again, it's a very...
Probably a group of people in a smoky room. A group of people in a dark, cigar smoky room. Probably that. Not the orange oaf by himself, not the fake hope and change Barack Obama, or the feeble Joe Biden, or the dumb fuck George W. Bush. It's probably a gang of people, not just here, but internationally, a gang of people deciding how to conduct world affairs, if I had to guess. And not just governments either, also businessmen as well. That's my guess, personal opinion. But here we go.
It's the president, correct?
Again, if you're saying agree with, he gets briefs, he gets people from the Pentagon.
Who's the final decision maker about the goals of the war?
That's the right question, and that would be the commander-in-chief.
The
that
president,
is true.
right?
Right.
So
and
if
you look at the official memo,
want to know what wars are,
if you look at
what the president says.
I got it. If you look at the official memo that was signed by him, that was pushed out and still on the government website to this very day, you can read the main objectives of the war.
Has he said that regime change is one of the goals of the war?
I agree that he's implied it in interviews.
Has he said it explicitly?
In the official memos where he's
that our goal is to protect.
Let me ask you something.
Okay, we got to pause there.
You need to answer my question. Has Donald Trump said that a goal of the war in Iran is to free the Iranian people by changing the regime of that country, a regime change war in the Middle East of the kind he said he wouldn't fight? Did Donald Trump say that was a goal of the war or not?
I'm going to answer you.
One word answer.
Please.
I'm going to answer you.
One word answer, or we got to move on.
Real quick answer. One word. He said it in interviews. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So he's saying he's just saying it to say it. Okay, I can believe that. But yeah, I never thought that was his goal, for sure. Is Glenn trying to argue that? Whatever. Here we go.
Prior to October 7th, America First, and it still means America First is having a strong ally in Israel. I find it very interesting, this disproportionate, selective outrage with this pseudo-Israel influence. AIPAC, 3.8 million compared to the billions of dollars from other foreign adversaries.
She means 3.8 billion, right? Per year? That's the number she's going. Did I hear her wrong?
Very interesting, this disproportionate, selective outrage with this pseudo-Israel influence. AIPAC, 3.8 million compared to the billions of dollars from other foreign adversaries. You're talking about subservient. We have the Chamber of Commerce, we have Big Pharma, we have the Real Estate Association.
The war industry.
Massively giving more funds to the lobbying world.
I mean, Raytheon,
the influence of Qatar alone, $1 billion on universities and media. Aren't you more concerned about that? Why do you never speak about the Qatari influence in America?
There's no comparing the influence of Qatar.
These are paid actors. These are paid fucking actors. She had some decent points, and then what about Qatar though? Like what? Who are these paid actors? They got auditioned first. They're either paid actors or they got so heavily auditioned. They're like, okay, you are the internet. You are the internet talking point incarnate. So you know what? We'll have you debate Glenn Greenwald. Fuck me. Here we go.
Qatari influence in America.
There's no comparing the influence of Qatar in the United States to Israel. And the proof of that is that we don't give $4 billion automatically a minimum every year to Qatar the way we do with Israel. This $3.8 billion that you said, much of which has to be spent at American arms manufacturers like Boeing and Raytheon, is like a gift certificate that the American public gives to Israel and says, here, go shopping for yourself at our arms dealers. There's no other country that gets that. We've given vastly more sums to Israel over the last several decades than any other country by far. We deploy our military military for Israel. We don't do that for Qatar. President Trump has been imposing speech codes at universities to protect Israel and not for Qatar. People who demonstrate against Israel are being deported, not for Qatar.
Okay.
And that the amount of money itself, 3.8 is the minimum. That $3.8 billion is the minimum. We gave over $20 billion under President Biden in 2024 to Israel.
You're not being honest.
These are all facts.
Yes, no, they are facts, but you're not saying the whole story.
What
yes,
else?
Israel is the only country that actually gives us a return on investment. That 3.8 billion, yes, 80% of it is invested right back into America jobs, American defense. And guess who
hey, average American, it doesn't come back to you, just so you know. Unless you mean like pennies, but don't worry, you'll be paying for something else, right? You'll be paying more for rent, for mortgage, for fucking property tax, your the products you buy, grocery shopping, your gas. So essentially, you're not getting more out of it's not coming back to you. It's not trickling down back to you. It's going to a few hands that are higher ups in these manufacturing, military manufacturing giants, right? Like the Raytheons, the Boeings, the Lockheed Martins, right? That shit ain't coming back to you. Like, how many people out there, how many of you guys ever worked for Lockheed fucking Martin? It's like, stop it. And then the guys you do who are the majority, which is like kind of lower level workers, like, you ain't getting shit, bro. Get the fuck out of here. There is no, maybe you see like a tick up in your paycheck, but guess what? You're paying more for other things around there, where they're robbing you somewhere else, right? Well, those guys are just fucking siphoning your money away from you. It is what it is. Let's play. Here we go.
Out all of our military equipment. It's Israel, because they are in the front lines of our enemies. They are doing us a favor.
They test our weapons.
We need
that
Israel strategically, and we are grateful to have them as a strong ally.
The American people have turned against
she just
Israel.
said we test these things. Like, yeah, Israel tests these things for us. Like, against children in Gaza? Like, what do you mean? That's a layup right there. All right, here we go.
They are doing us a favor. We need Israel strategically, and we are grateful to have them as a strong ally.
The American people have turned against Israel because they're sick of having
No,
their
it's because of
resources.
propaganda that you're perpetuating on X. We didn't have an issue of this before October 7th.
If you look at American communities, they're falling apart. This was what President Trump.
This is Israel lobby's fault?
It's not entirely the Israel lobby's fault, but we ought to be focused.
Should we talk about Doge, the $215 billion in Doge? Maybe we should look at that.
The Israeli people have a higher standard of living than tens of millions of people in the United States, and yet they are forced.
What does that have to do with Americans?
Because Americans are forced to subsidize the Israeli military to send tens of billions of dollars to Israel to go to war for Israel.
So now it's tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah, I just told you in 2024 alone it was above $20 billion.
They were in a war.
Actually, when Trump came in office, they started giving around that in a very short period of time. When Trump first got in office and the ceasefire ended inevitably, obviously, Trump upticked that amount as well. Like, in a short period of time, gave them a shit ton of money, and then it's not to even count the American equipment that's used for Israel in the sense of, or with Iran, as well as Gaza too. But like this more recent thing with Iran, and then also in that summer of 2025 with Iran, where U.S. was moving military equipment around to support them, and once again, these Patriot missiles, or whatever the fuck they're shooting, THAADs, all that stuff, worth a lot of money. Worth a lot of money. There's that as well. So, once again, Glenn, I think, is on the wrong side of this argument, but don't worry. A bunch of dumbasses will show up to make him look more competent on this. And not competent in the sense of him retaining information, competent in the sense of, like, look at his premise. His premise is that Trump is subservient. I mean, the thing she just said and the thing that he said, actually, like a gift certificate to Israel to buy U.S. weaponry and all that stuff. Like, how you don't see that benefiting these guys at these companies that are getting the check, right? Like, hey, we're getting free sales, free contracts to sell our products to these guys. We are booming right now. When there's war in the world, when there's war with our ally Israel, guess what? Business is fucking booming. How come they're not considered, like, wait, they're owned by Israel. How can we not consider that? Or even in a different way, How could you not say, like, hey, Trump's owned by the military-industrial complex, if you will, all right? Because they're just fucking laundering money through Israel to give back to the war industry in America. How come that's not a concept of yours? How come it goes right here? And I think it's because of, for real, the internet. The internet and cultural fucking things where it's like they really want to, like, fuck you, Israel, you did. Like, they want, like, simple answers to things when it could be a little bit more complicated and maybe require a little bit more thinking behind it. A little bit more assessments of the characters that are driving these events in the world, instead of just saying like some sort of totem or silo to be like, them, it's them, they did it. That's the excuse. That's the reason. I mean, it's just fucking lazy or full of shit or dumb or all of it. All right, let's apply. Here we go.
Exactly. Every time Israel's
what
always
do you mean
at war.
every time? Israel has never asked for boots on the ground, and yes, they were in a war.
No,
that
we pay for their
Biden
wars.
helped
We pay for their
enact.
wars. We pay for those wars
Because it's to our interest that there is stability in the Middle East, because these are proxies to America as well.
With the wars that Israel
First
starts,
Saturday,
stability,
then
not stability.
Sunday. Do not normalize terrorism and the Islamic Caliphate. Why are you so hyper-focused on our
It's the same
ally?
way that we started off the first question where people say, no, Trump doesn't make wars. And then, okay, Trump makes them, but they're justified. The point here is we do more for the Israeli lobby than any other country. You started off by saying, no,
Because
it's
they're an
Qatar. And now
ally.
you're saying, yes, we do more for Israel,
Because
but
they're an
it's
ally, with
justified.
good reason.
A lot
It is
of
justified.
course, they're an ally and they're an enemy. They spy on us. They steal our
Just like
nuclear
America
secrets.
does.
They spy.
You're selectively. You're
Israel is the
selective on
number
Israel
one
only.
surveillance
Everyone
threat
spies on
against,
everyone.
not the way that Israel spies on the United States. When I did the Snowden reporting, there are documents that say here are the countries that are the greatest surveillance threat: China, Russia, Iran. Number one on that is Israel, because they treat us like an enemy. They
do
take our
not
money.
treat us
They
like
sponge
an
off
enemy. This is
our
your
citizenry. They
propaganda. You're
suck
feeding
money
into
out of
Al
our.
Jazeera.
They suck money out of our country.
You never want to talk about our actual enemies. You only want to talk about Israel.
I think Israel does more damage to the United
voted
States
out
than
by the
almost any
majority.
other country on the planet.
Please return to your seat.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Also, just once again, that's just wrong. It's individuals around the globe that do these harmful things. That's the real thing you should be afraid of, or sorry, be more cautious and worried about, is the capability of certain individuals that exist in the world. And yes, it's not just filthy rich government apparatus, corporations, whatever the fuck. People, regular walking around, man. Not saying you should stone them to death or anything like that. I just like, hey, be cautious that the same archetypes, social archetypes that exist in these government apparatuses that you scream about on the internet also can exist in your fucking neighborhood. They could be a content creator. They could be, it's a human thing. And until we approach those human things, we're fucked. Because then we're just blaming one team or another team or whatever. It really does require a good amount of thought. But people don't want to do that. I don't know for what reason, but they don't want to do that. And thus we get a lot of lazy answers to some big questions. Not saying they're the most difficult thing ever to figure out. It's more so or the most simple things to figure out, like simple notions, but it maybe require a little bit of hard work, right? Regardless of how long it takes, just more of like the idea of hard work. And motherfuckers seem to be allergic to that. Sorry, Ed. Motherfuckers sound to be allergic to that shit. Anyways, here we go.
Jesus.
So
here's the thing. I actually do
him.
agree with you.
Who was that? That's some hot lady. I want her to tackle me.
So here's the thing. I actually do agree with you.
Is this Don Jr.?
that
Who is this?
Israel does have an outsized influence on our government in general. I think that it's a policy thing that we have to start putting domestic policy ahead of foreign policy. What I don't
Who's this
agree with
actor and why
is
is he dressed
your
like Don Jr.?
characterization of it as subservient. I think that implies a greater allegiance to a foreign country than what a president actually has. So let me understand. Tell me some of your reasons why you think it goes beyond influence.
Sure. So for decades in the United States, in both parties when they had the White House. The policy of the United States has been that the worst thing that the United States has to overcome in the Middle East, when doing deals in the Middle East, when trying to advance our interests in the Middle East, is the fact that the Palestinians do not have a state. And the only way that the United States can ever improve its position in the Middle East is through a two-state solution. That's
Glenn. Words. They say words when they campaign, when they do speeches, they say words. What are they actually doing? You can't be this stupid. You can't be this stupid. They've also said words hinting at a two-state solution as well, by the way. They have done that. Why? PR. Because the actual goal is something different than what they're saying to you out loud. It's fucking obvious. There's no way he's this stupid to... Like, the fuck? All right, here we go.
why, going back to the first Bush administration, back to the Reagan administration, they were threatening Israel. They were indignant with the Israelis that they were expanding settlements in the West Bank, because that would forever prevent a two-state solution, would mean that we were seen in the Middle East as suppressing the Palestinians. Israel ignored that. They expanded West Bank settlements. When the first Bush administration tried to stop it, Bill Clinton ran in 1992 accusing Bush 41 of being an anti-Semite. And ever since then, when that harsh accusatory framework came down on James Baker and George Bush and Brent Scowcroft as anti-Semites, American presidents, with some exceptions, have been petrified of opposing Israel and the Israel lobby. They can remove...
Barack Obama, right, said, listen, folks, I voted against the Iraq war, but also... yeah, we torture some people, but we're going to let it go. Wouldn't that reflect exactly what happens with Israel, where they do commit atrocities, or Saudi Arabia commits atrocities, or any government we back for different reasons other than we just love their country so much, or they're such an important ally, but more so whatever the gangster backroom deal shit that happens, and they commit atrocities and we look the other way? I don't see what the difference is. The only difference I see is that maybe you focused on this one more than other ones. Maybe that's the thing. And also, right now, in 2026, there has been more of a focus in that direction. Maybe that's the reason why. But that could easily... you could take a whole bunch of different scenarios and just look at that and be like, damn, there's like an over favoritism towards this fucking government or this country. I think you could flip through a fucking book of it. Let's play. Here we go.
Move members of Congress like no other lobby can. They've proven that repeatedly. And so it's not just that they're our ally and we help them when it's our interest. We help them even when it's contrary to our interests, as we're doing right now with this war.
Well, yeah, you just kind of danced around it. You didn't actually say.
Once again, more bullshit. Sorry for pausing so much, but I have to call these out. When he says our interest, he's saying regular Americans, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying our as in regular Americans' interest. But in reality, these guys have never served that fucking interest, dude. Who are you talking to? For their own personal interest? Yes, this is working splendidly. Splendidly. Just like we were saying with the war industry in America. And they give a blank check to Israel to fucking buy from the arms industry in America. Right? It's perfectly within their interest from what we've seen, right? Financially, at the very least financially. Probably for some other darker reasons too. But at the very least financially, it's definitely in their interest. But please tell me, Glenn, who is this person that's has been serving the American people's interests through and through in your lifetime, Glenn? Who are they? Point them out to me. Like, please. I don't see them. I know he's older than me, but still, who are you talking about? Where have they been serving the regular American people's fucking interests? Fuck, bro. You can't be this stupid. I guess he is. All right, here we go.
Our interests, as we're doing right now with this war.
Well, yeah, you just kind of danced around it. You didn't actually say what characterizes Trump's behavior as subservient.
Let me just say one thing. You want to know?
No, but let me say one thing.
Also, once again, when Netanyahu's breaking ceasefires to continue bombing the shit out of Gaza, was that in the Israelis' interest when they're looking at, hey, we got hostages here. We got hostage, we want them back. right? We want our family members back. And when other regular Israelis caught wind of that, they're like, yo, we want our people back. The ones that were in support, like, just keep bombing them anyways, were probably brainwashed, just like it happens all over the fucking world. They're probably brainwashed. They're like, yeah, listen, we have to sacrifice some people to get this shit done. All right. But not in the way that Netanyahu was like sacrifice people, where he's like apathetic to the lives of those people. Seemingly, at least, that I've heard. So, like, like, you think he was serving Israeli interests? Get the fuck out of here. Not the Israeli people. The apparatus, the government there? Sure, yes. And the creepy, crawly government business guys that do gangster actions with other nations? Yeah, serve their interests for sure. But not the regular Israeli. They're getting fucked. And when those guys get older and they inherit a world that looks down at them because of the actions of people in their government and the little brand, it's their fault too. And it was anyone that went along with it, it's their fault too. But let's be real. You can't say there wasn't a concerted brainwashing operation happening against Israelis, just like there is against Americans. This is why I'm calling Glenn a fucking dumb fuck. It's because he apparently can't seem to assess things that way. It's like he left psychology out of the way. Like he left practicality out of the way. Like he left the simple dumb guy logic of what if they're lying out of the way. And then, my God, American interests. Who has been serving that, Glenn? Like the regular American. Let's play. Here we go.
Soviet.
When you take, let me just quickly.
Let me say one thing.
But you want to know?
No, but let me say one thing.
Okay.
I actually do relate a lot to what you're saying, being called an anti-Semite. I'm running for Congress in Hollywood, Glendale, Burbank, and Pasadena. And the thing that I got labeled for criticizing Israel, the Israeli lobby, and the government of Israel, to be fair, I got immediately labeled an anti-Semite by my own party, by the Republican Party. But I want to understand what makes Trump subservient, what makes the influence go beyond just influence and makes him have a greater allegiance to Israel than America. You haven't answered that.
By subservience, I mean when you take interests that are in the interest of another country over your own. And subservient, are you saying why is he subservient?
No,
like
I'm
what
trying to
causes that?
understand
Or
your
what do
logic,
you mean by
because
subservient?
what you've described so far is influence, which we all agree there's a foreign influence in our government that's outsized, and it very often drives our politics and our politicians to go beyond the interests of Americans. But that doesn't mean that they have a greater allegiance to a foreign government than they do to their own people.
I'm not saying President Trump has a greater allegiance to Israel than he does to the United States. I'm saying that the lobby that influences him, that he's afraid of, that he takes direction from, their goal is to make sure that American politicians are serving the interest of Israel even above the interest of the United States, even when it undermines or subverts the interest of the United States. That is the point of the Israel lobby, is to make sure that Israeli interests
you're talking
stay
about the
above.
Israel lobby.
All right, we got to pause.
Once again, he says interest. Does he mean? I think Glenn's implying like, okay, above American interests, as in the fucking regular plumber, the teacher, the regular American. When it's like it's always been above their interest, like it's always been like fuck their interests. It's about us and our small little group of people. In my opinion, but it's lagging. So, all right, let's see the next topic, I guess.
There, you've been voted out.
Good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I'm moving topics now. This has been, once again, Glenn, I'll give you the first topic, but this one, fuck, horrendous. Our administration has been considerably more corrupt than the Biden administration. Here we go. Weren't you selling it the other way around in a way, Glenn, for like a while, and then Trump got in office, and now let's find out. Okay. Here we go.
Application using the link in the description.
My next surrounding claim is the Trump administration has been considerably more corrupt than the Biden administration.
All right, if you'd like to debate this claim, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
This is stupid. Why do you have them race towards chairs? Just give them all a chance to say something to someone. Otherwise, they're just paid fucking out. It's probably looked like a tryout for getting a role in a TV show. Then it actually looks like about like, hey, let's like seriously discuss ideas. It'd be a good idea, right? That'd be a good idea, but instead it's TV. Here we go. All right, let's hear from Mar-a-Lago.
Hello there. There's so many things
I'd let her spank me
I
that.
could talk for hours on end. Even giving Kamala Harris an appointation of, I don't know if that's a word, but appointing her as the next candidate because he wasn't able to run. You're America first, right? That's what you're saying, right? Okay, so do you agree that it was corrupt?
He doesn't live in America. All right, here we go.
So I'm somebody who believes that there was a lot of corruption in the Biden administration. My claim is not that the Biden administration was free of meaningful corruption. It had a lot of corruption. My claim is that the Trump administration has a lot more corruption. And we can talk about what those financial deals are.
Please.
Okay, well, I'll just give you one example.
Okay.
Jared Kushner, who's now running Middle East foreign policy and negotiating Middle East policy for Donald Trump, his son-in-law.
And doing a great job.
Right before he was put into that position just a year or so earlier, he created a hedge fund, and the number one investor were the Saudis, who invested $2 billion in Jared Kushner's fund, both as a reward for a job well done, for the service that the Trump administration in the first term gave to the Saudis, and also for making sure that the Saudis' interests are protected. It's basically a bribe directly to the Trump family. The Trump family created a crypto company called World Liberty Financial, 49% of which is now owned by the United Arab Emirates. We've heard so much here about how important the UAE is, about how Saudi Arabia is, and they're funneling gigantic sums of money directly to the Trump family.
Okay, but look at,
Okay. So he's going to add ancillary thing. Sorry, YouTube, it's going to sound very dark, but if you blindfold, gag, rape, then murder a child, record it all for your own personal pleasure. One child. Is that worse than doing it to 3 children? And I try to do this with Ed on a qualitative level. Is one worse than the other? Does one turn your stomach less than the other one? For me now, it's equally stomach turning. So on a quality level, which corruption I think is actually in that territory, when you break down the idea of corruption, I think it is a qualitative thing more so than a quantitative thing. I'm going to say equal, Glenn. So yeah, you could bring up, oh well, Trump also did this financial crime over there, or this extra crime over there. But when you boil it down, what's some of the worst things you can do on planet Earth? I'd say people who have nothing to do with wanting to harm anyone and killing them, I think is up there. I think it's pretty much up there. Although I view all corruption kind of equal to me. Why I put it in a qualitative category of like, corrupt is corrupt. But let's just say for the normal social thinking person, where it's like, hey, murdering a child there's no way to make that a good thing. As much as Nick Fuentes might want to do that. There's no way to make that a good thing. Are they both guilty of that, Glenn? Also, Glenn leaving out the first term of Trump as well is kind of crazy. And Biden being vice president under Obama and ignoring that one too, apparently, for this discussion. Like, well, they're both guilty of that. Thus, how is one more corrupt than another? Like, well, this guy raped 5 kids, so he's more corrupt than the guy who raped 1 kid. He's more corrupt. Like, really? That's how you think about it? Listen, I know there's people that struggle with abstract intelligence, or what I would call abstract intelligence, but that's a hard... I would hope people would get that one, right? Be like, wait a minute, that's equally bad. There's no way to make that a good thing. And they're both guilty of it, so there's my answer to that. Thus, GG's. But I think Glenn's arguing with he might be a paid actor himself, but Glenn's arguing with a bunch of paid actors, in my opinion, that are not gonna, or normies that don't know too much, and thus you're just gonna get a counterpoint. But well, look at Biden though. But Biden is probably the counter arguments you're gonna hear instead of they both suck. Instead of hearing that. All right, here we go.
I just want to interject a little bit because look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at all the inside trading.
I agree with you completely.
It goes way beyond that.
No, that's
so
not
both
way beyond
sides
that.
do it. Is it right? No, but Biden administration and all of the people on the Democratic side are doing it so much worse on such a larger scale. It's affecting America.
I worked a lot on the Hunter Biden corruption case, principally that he got $50,000 a month from a company in Ukraine called Burisma when Vice President Biden had immense influence in Ukraine.
It was way more than that.
And as Andy McCarthy said, who's a longtime Republican conservative prosecutor, in order to talk about or compare the corruption, similar corruption by the Trump sons and by Jared Kushner, you have to add 2 zeros to the amounts. And I think that's what the concern is.
Biden was so
we gotta move on. Thank you. You've been voted
Thank you. It was
out.
actually fun doing this.
I thought that MAGA mom beat me silly.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I think that we can see corruption pretty, well in the Biden administration. You've got Joe Biden's drug addict son that got convicted on gun charges, on
Greenwald.
Tax evasion charges.
This is not going very well so far, and I'm not going to hear the argument. It's going to be a battle of, well, he did this, but he did that, but he did this though. Well, this guy did this, and it's just be that back and forth. There's not going to be too much substance to it, in my opinion. Hunter Biden is where he's going, right? Okay. Next, I'll try to give some guys a chance. Here's his name, Lucas.
So you're saying that Trump is more corrupt than Joe Biden?
And
that's what you're saying.
I'm saying the Trump administration has a lot more corruption than the Biden administration has.
Okay, I'm guessing by what, the war or his kids or what?
I think we're focused primarily on financial corruption. I mean, you can talk about other kinds of corruption as well, but the concern about Hunter Biden and the money that he made off his father's influence, which I found extremely objectionable and still do, pales in comparison to the extreme fortune that the Trump kids and Jared Kushner are building off of Trump's power.
Okay, well, Trump is not corrupted at all. We're not in a war as well. Sorry, there's so many. I wanted to answer you on so many things, but you're not being specific about how it's Trump, his administration corrupted. What exactly? Because his kids aren't the administration. It's just Donald Trump. So how is...
Well, Hunter Biden wasn't the Biden administration, but it was just the president's
I don't care about Joe Biden. I want to go on. You're saying Trump, okay? Trump administration. How is he more corrupt?
It's a comparison between the Biden administration. But
the most corrupt thing that Trump has done.
I'll tell you what there's a lot of things, but the main one is they created a company shortly before Trump's inauguration that's a crypto company called World Financial Liberty.
No, that's not...
If you want me to explain, I can explain it, but you got to let me explain.
So you're saying that he's corrupt that in a way that he can get in trouble just like Hunter Biden got in trouble.
There's the World Financial Liberty, which is the crypto company that the UAE has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in, that has 49% ownership, that paid a huge amount of money to enrich President Trump. On top of that, he created this coin, the Trump coin, where any foreign influencers or foreign power can pour as much money as they want into Donald Trump's pocket and have done so.
Are you aware that Trump...
Now, but those were things brought up in the first term by Democrats, and I'm sure Glenn and the Jimmy Dores and all these they all dismissed it. So, like, I don't get You're focusing on financial crime. That's not my lane. Although it is my lane. Corruption, yeah. I'm like, next. Okay. Okay, bombing Iran is not in the American people's interest. Oh, God, I can imagine the arguments, but you know what? I'll let it play. It's not going to go well. This guy looks familiar. What is that?
They're doing.
All right, let's pause there. We've run out of time. Thank you.
Had two said the long time. My principal is corrupt.
Shrapnel or the Iran war negatively affects the
Okay, never mind.
UAE, right?
Look like a Charlie Kirk kid.
Salaries was on a much smaller scale.
There was a Charlie Kirk kid, like a month or two before Charlie died, and they had a panel about the U.S. relationship with Israel. And this kid said that Israel was the only country that had the right to exist. Not just Israel has the right to exist, but they're the only country in the Middle East that has the right to exist. It's like, what the fuck? Okay.
Trump's kids are doing.
All right, let's pause there. We've run out of time. Thank you.
Good talk to you. My final surrounding claim is bombing Iran is not in the American people's interests.
If you'd like to debate this claim, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, how are you? Good to meet you. Good to meet you. So I think in talking about this conflict or war, the things that we have to establish is what each side has lost. So in my estimation, and you're welcome to jump in, I think the U.S. has lost about $40 to $50 billion. We've lost about 14 servicemen, which I think is the greatest loss that we've had. And beyond that, we haven't lost a lot. What Iran has lost is their entire military, their entire Navy. They have lost half their leaders and a lot of money along the way. So in my estimation,
they lost all their military? They want to just walk in and just take the fucking place. I don't understand. Why don't they just walk in and take the place? They lost their whole military? Maybe he misworded that, to be fair to him. He seems like kind of a lame. Maybe he didn't realize what he was saying or fucked his words up. Here we go.
We're winning this war, and the reason why we're fighting the war is because 1,000 Americans have been killed by Iran in the last 50 years.
Have they lost? Has Iran, you mentioned the losses, has Iran lost any civilians?
Yeah, I'm sure. That's how war works.
Like, for example, that's how war works. Like on the first day
like that's some like devil worshiping shit. We have the pre-made answer for it. Like, well, that's war. You know? Like, oh, you didn't come up with that, did you? You didn't like close your eyes, go into your imagination and find, hey man, what's it like to be there? And you have nothing to do with these bad guys, but a bomb just hits your house and destroys you or your family. I bet he didn't. Like, he didn't do that, did he? He just heard whoever. What's his name? Douglas Murray or or Andrew Wilson. That probably not Andrew Wilson, but I'm sure a lot of whoever TPUSA people out there. I'm sure you heard a lot of them or Fox News saying like, "Well, that's just war." When you blow up a building full of schoolgirls, that's just war, man. War happens. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how war works.
Like, for example, that's how war works. Like on the first day, we vaporized 170 young Iranian schoolgirls by bombing an elementary school.
Yeah, I think
does that weigh into the calculation at all?
I think it's very clear that every single war there are civilian casualties. There's never been a war in history.
You have to weigh that. That's one reason why we shouldn't fight wars, right? Because innocent people die in them. Life created by God is extinguished.
I would say if you're trying to be America first, which is the claim that you made, you should prioritize your own citizens and servicemen over the people of other countries.
Okay, because I was hearing a lot, probably more than any other argument, before the start of the war, that the reason we had to go to war was because the Iranian people were massacring their own citizens, and we had to go and protect them and liberate them and bring them freedom and democracy. Is that a goal of the war? And how does that weigh in with America first?
So absolutely, that's part of the war. The reason why Donald Trump chose to take the time that he did to go into Iran is because of the fact that the people were ready to stand behind the U.S. government in that.
So regime change is part of the war?
I think regime change would be the best case scenario of the war, yes.
No, but is it a goal of the war? Like when you start a war, you have goals. Like you said, you gave a reason for the goal, which is that like they've done bad things in the past.
I have no problem admitting that it's one of the goals. I have no problem admitting that is one of the goals.
Is that war, has that goal been fulfilled?
We are currently 5 weeks into the war.
No, I know. I'm asking.
It has not.
We're actually in our sixth full week, but has that war?
No, that has not been accomplished yet.
Do you think that we're on our way to accomplishing the fall of the Iranian regime?
I'm sorry, that's kind of wreckage. Where it's like, listen, we're only 5 weeks in. This was filmed on April 12th. Like, goddamn. All right, here we go.
I mean, that the American government considers that to be one of the ongoing goals?
I think it is very possible that could happen. I think it is the least likely goal. I still think that the U.S. should pursue that goal.
But if we end up in this war, we're currently in a 2-week ceasefire, where there is no regime change, where the current Iranian power structure, the Revolutionary Guard, everyone else continues to govern Iran, will that have been a successful war goal?
Absolutely. We've lost 14 servicemen, bless their hearts, but they chose to do that, and they were very brave in doing so. We have decimated their military.
I understand but I just want to focus on this war goal. Because I'm just confused because you were saying
there are tiers of goals for sure.
You were saying
if we can achieve 4 or 5, fantastic.
But I think what you said is so important, which is we're America first, right? That's the movement that I thought that Donald Trump was creating. That made me interested in the movement.
Yeah.
And so you began by saying, oh, it really doesn't matter about these 170 schoolgirls because we have to focus on American lives, not Iranian. No, that is what you said.
No, I'm saying that is every single war. We do this moral grandstanding where we say, oh, these civilians died. I do think it's horrible that civilians died. But I absolutely do, but I think it's worse for the American government to prioritize anybody outside of America. We've had over 1,000 people killed by the Iranian regime.
How does bringing freedom and democracy to the Iranian people help the American people whose interests you say should be first?
Because the current regime has killed over 1,000 Americans. If it's a different regime, hopefully that will not be the case.
But what if they're as tyrannical but pro-American? Is that fine?
What if, like we could say what if about
no,
anything.
because I think that's so, because we prop up dictatorships throughout that region. We don't care about democracy or bringing freedom to people. We prop up the worst, most savage dictatorships in Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Bahrain because we don't care about liberating people around the world. So I just want to get a sense from you. What is your goal? Is it a pro-American dictatorship like we installed previously?
It's very clear that the goal is if there is a regime change, it will be by the Iranian people. That's why Trump chose to do it when he did it.
Is it our goal? Is it a war goal?
That is a goal, but there are tiers of goals, obviously.
Okay, so if we don't end up changing the government, will that be a goal that is failed or unfulfilled?
Sure, yeah, I've got no problem saying that.
Okay,
we got to pause there.
4 out of 5, no problem.
We got to pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
That Bill Nye, the science guy, was like...
First of all, I was flabbergasted to find out you're Jewish.
Surprise.
Surprise.
Nick Wright.
What does Iran need a 60% enriched uranium for?
Iran never had 60% enriched uranium when the Iran deal was in place, and there were IAEA inspectors all throughout those Iranian facilities. When President Trump nullified the deal,
I hate when something looks so like polished, clean news. Like it's news, but it's like internet. It's podcasty, but it's very clean and they got QR codes and all that shit. I hate when they do that and it's just like mediocre. The actual substance of the product is just mediocre. It's just, I get it if it's like, hey, let's go here for the sake of the audience that hasn't caught up and let's promote it to like a mainstream audience by doing it this way, right? To kids, to pop culture type of thing. But if you know better, then just say what you know. Let the ones that are trying to learn things, let them make content and say, like, hey man, I'm trying to, like, this is what I'm seeing, man. And thus you'll be like, okay, they'll be at their pace. Why dumb down for anyone else? It's stupid. Which is, 3/4 of Glenn's career is that basically. When you've heard him say something where he knows better, he just dumbs it down for some reason. And in this content here, it's like they're adding cliff notes, right, of like corrections and shit like that. It's like, well, why not just have that a part of your show? Why not just do that? Have Glenn actually tangle with more sophisticated ideas versus him just debating Fox News all day. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. Here we go. Sorry, armchairing again.
Surprise. What does Iran need a 60% enriched uranium for?
Iran never had 60% enriched uranium when the Iran deal was in place, and there were IAEA inspectors all throughout those Iranian facilities. When President Trump nullified the deal, destroying the obligation of Iran to have inspectors and 24-hour surveillance, they decided that they needed protection because now they no longer had a deal in place. They knew they could be threatened by Israel or the United States at any time. And if I were the Iranian leadership, I think the one thing the Iranian leadership did that was probably their biggest mistake is that they didn't develop a nuclear weapon.
Jeez.
Because we've created a world in which we tell other countries, either you get nuclear weapons and we won't mess with you, like North Korea,
So you're looking for the North Korea? You're looking for the North Korea model. That's what we're looking for?
I'm saying if I were Iran, or we tell the world, if you
older,
don't
so
have
he's
nuclear
a little bit
weapons,
more
we'll
Fox
invade you
News
and
than
bomb
the
you
other
anytime.
guy.
Would Iran use a nuclear weapon if they had one?
That's the same.
No, why would they? There would be instant and immediate suicide.
Then you
and
have-
we're told that the Iranian
It's not
government.
suicide. It's martyrdom. To them, it's jihad.
Okay, then why aren't they launching all of their? I know.
Why are they not launching what?
Why aren't
Okay,
they
you know
launching?
what? First of all, hold on, hold on.
You got to
Define
you
Iran
have
to
to let
me.
me talk. You said why aren't they? Why are they that they want it suicide? Every single time that the Israelis and the United States have attacked.
I'm sorry. Glenn has been allergic to Trump's first term during this entire fucking discussion, in my opinion. But he has to this one, right? There's no way to avoid the nuclear deal with Iran. There's no way to avoid it. So you have to go back to the first term, Glenn. You can't avoid this one anymore. And that so many people apparently were like, man, this guy is so much more peaceful than the other guys. You can't avoid it here. You have to actually go over it. Here we go.
No, you got to let me. You have to let me talk. You said why aren't they? Why are they that they want it suicide? Every single time that the Israelis and the United States have attacked Iran in the past 5 years, which is many, and even before that, they have been extremely restrained in their. They have been extremely restrained in their. Okay,
Extremely restrained.
Yes.
How many times have you
Yes,
define
they've
Iran
been extremely
to me?
restrained.
Define who it is that is attacking. Is it Iran?
Is it the proxies? Are the proxies part of Iran?
Iran has an internationally recognized government at the UN that's recognized by all countries around the world.
Great.
When I say Iran, that's who I mean.
That's
it's like Israel, the United States and Israel have proxies in Iran who are trying to overthrow the government, who were arming, who were training in order to overthrow the government. These peaceful protesters, a lot of them were actually armed and organized by Israel and the Mossad, as they themselves
people that
admit.
were killed.
What is the number 30 or 40 or 45?
Well, from what we hear right now is 45,000. But here's what I tell you.
That's
that
not the number I hear.
Iran ran out of body bags. Okay.
So this is somehow an older guy that sounds like he watches Fox News, but he's also bringing up internet points in a way, not youth internet points, but still just internet points in a way, the body bags and all that shit. Actually, that probably was on Fox News too, wasn't it? It probably was. That's why, but Glenn could be like, well, the U.S. in regards to the UAE, and then you have Sudan, right, where there is a massacre that happened in 2025 over a short period of time. They could also be like, well, how come we're okay with that one, but not okay with this one? What's the difference? And if it all just comes down to, well, we're American, and we care about American interests, you look like a selfish little fuckface. But then again, that's just... All right, here we go. This is...
What is the number 30 or 40 or 45?
Well, from what we hear right now is 45,000. But here's what I tell you.
That's not the number I hear.
Iran ran out of body bags. Okay? Iran ran out of body bags in those 2 days. And a country of 90 million people usually has around 30,000 body bags in case of emergency. That's what we're looking at right now. We have the numbers. The numbers vary from all over the place.
Yeah, they do. No, I want to ask you. I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
If we here in the United States, we had an insurrectionary movement that was armed by China and Russia. And they admitted it openly. We've armed an insurrectionary movement inside the United States because we want them to overthrow the American government. And they were going and attacking police officers, killing police officers, attacking government buildings. How do you think we would treat those protesters?
I don't need to give you any kind of pie in the sky, because you have Hamas and you have Hezbollah.
No, I'm talking about the United States,
you have
this country. I'm talking about our country.
Okay, do you not believe that these are attacking Americans as well?
The United States has been attacked many times.
So because
can I answer your question?
Yes,
you asked me a question. The United States has been attacked many times over the last 30 years with horrific terrorist attacks. Do you know how many of them have come from Iranian terrorists or Shia terrorists? The answer is zero. Zero. We have never been attacked on American soil. What terrorist attack? What terrorist attack happened from Iranian and Shia terrorists? Which terrorist attack? We've had 9/11, the Boston Massacre, the Pulse shooting, Fort Hood, attempted bombing in Times Square. These were all Sunni terrorists from the governments that we love, like Saudi Arabia.
Sunnis are good and Shiites are.
You know there's a difference between Iran and the Arab countries, right?
Completely.
And so I'm asking you about the violence from Iran. We're talking about the Iranian threat. How many terrorist attacks have come from Iran or from Shia terrorists on the United States soil? Any?
On United States soil?
Zero, right?
That's not zero. No, it's not true, because the proxies are considered part of Iran.
Which Iranian proxies have attacked the United States homeland? How many Americans have died and
Do you not consider the barracks over?
We'll get to that. I'm talking about the homeland.
Oh, so it has to be in the homeland for...
that's generally what governments are supposed to secure and protect.
So if Americans are killed abroad, that doesn't count?
Let's talk about the homeland first.
Because you said America first, right? So American lives matter.
Right, we shouldn't have... The reason we shouldn't have troops over protecting Israel is because we put them in harm's way. But I'm asking about the American homeland. Has Iran attacked the American homeland through asymmetrical bombing, through terrorist attack, through guerrilla warfare, anything? Why can't you just answer that?
Because the fact that you're blind to it...
Can you answer that? Just please answer that.
Yes.
When did that happen?
I don't have the exact details of when it happened.
If anyone has any examples of terrorist attacks that came from Iranian or Shia terrorists, please come up and tell me.
Harrison alert.
Control
the
Middle East through their proxies, through the Houthis, through Hezbollah, through Hamas.
And we control the Middle East through our proxy, which is Israel.
So Israel is a proxy of the U.S. right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so we're not an ally, we're a proxy.
Okay, we got to pause there.
Tell me why the ceasefire...
Oh, he's Israeli or something? He just said we right there. I'm going with paid actor. Another paid actor. Right? Wait. I thought, did he say he was Israeli up front? I didn't hear that. If he said that, I didn't hear it. My bad. Maybe he actually is just a straight up like Israeli guy. But if he says he's American, You know, that's gonna look bad. So what? We're just proxies? No, we're an ally. We, huh? Easy catnip for the
These through Hezbollah, through Hamas.
And we control the Middle East through our proxy,
They
which
look
is
like
Israel.
actors, right?
So Israel's a proxy of the U.S. right
Yes,
now?
absolutely.
Oh, so we're not an ally, we're a proxy.
Okay, we got to pause there.
Tell
We
me
gotta
why.
pause there.
Tell me
Pause,
why the ceasefire needs to include.
You've been voted out by the majority. We got to pause there.
Bill Nye said, "Hey, listen." Oh, this is
Hey, how are you? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
like social
I think bombing
these are
Iran
actors,
is
right?
absolutely in the American
Well,
people's
they're
interest
actors.
because they've been a problem for 47 years. And I think what Trump is doing is he realized an opportune time where their economy, like the real, means absolutely nothing. Their terror proxies are no longer a deterrent. Hezbollah and Hamas have been absolutely decimated since October 7th. And a desperate attempt, they murdered 30,000+ civilians in the streets, and their uranium, 30,000+. According to hospital records, 32,000. And 60% uranium enrichment. So I think Trump is looking right now and saying, we don't know what the next administration is going to do. We could have Democrats that might unfreeze their assets again, go back into the JCPOA. This is an opportune time where they're like the weakest they're going to be in the whole existence. So like we should end this now.
Yeah, I think it's. I want to talk about that. I just want to ask you, and I'm not trying to be personal in any way, but I do think it's an interesting phenomenon that for centuries, when countries wanted to go to war and people said, "Yeah, let's go to war," the big test was, are you willing to risk your own life in the war that you think is so important to defend your country's interests? You seem like a young guy to me. Have you ever thought about going and fighting in this war that you're cheering on?
I mean, I've thought about joining the military before. I don't know about this war specifically, but that's what makes them heroes. They put themselves in dangerous situations.
Yeah, I'm asking that because, as I said,
what's funny is the guy looks like the movie character that would be like the guy who signs up for the like a fucking like yeah, he like has the look of the guy that would join the military like in a movie almost. This is quite interesting. All right, here we go. Just saying, like, sorry, forgive me, intuition.
But
I married my high school sweetheart, and I gotta leave you, babe. I gotta fight for freedom. I'm making fun of this at this point. I'm just having fun with this. There we go.
That's what makes them heroes. They put themselves in dangerous situations.
Yeah, I'm asking that because, as I said earlier, we are a country that constantly fights wars. It's extremely aberrational for other countries on the planet, including very powerful ones like China, as I said before, that has grown so significantly because they know that war is not a way that you pretend you protect your national interests, but you undermine them. But we are so eager, so it's so easy for us to say, oh yeah, go fight that war, go blow up these people.
We're a global superpower. Of course, we're dealing with stuff all the time.
China is a global superpower as well and doing infinitely better than the United States by so many metrics because of the. Go ask Latin American and African countries with whom they're dealing more and who they prefer to deal with, China or the United States, and they will tell you that the United States is a bully country that runs the world through military force and China isn't. That's one of the problems that we have. But Iran has not attacked the United States, has no ability to attack the United States. A moral country only goes to war and blows up elementary schools if that country is actually attacking the United States. It's supposed to be a war of last resort. That is not the case here. We're blowing up their country. We're killing their people. We're threatening civilizational annihilation.
Think Iran would,
because Iran is not a threat to the United States.
Death to America, death to Israel, 60% uranium enrichment. There's never been a country ever that for civilian uses with nuclear energy that
when the Iran.
It's like they never heard of these younger people have apparently never heard of the internet. Like you just leave Israel out of it. Just say death. They're saying death to America. That's it. See what they're saying? Because you're all about America, right? You like even like on the surface that you're fucking the narrative up that you're supposed to be portraying, but whatever. Okay, here's more. Here we go.
When the Iran deal was in place, to what level did Iran enrich uranium?
Want to know the thing about the Iran deal?
I asked that.
They kept it low. Want to know why? Because that had an expiration date. Meanwhile, they got to reap all the benefits of their unfrozen assets and fund their proxies.
This other thing about unfrozen,
there's no limitations on their terrorism.
The United States has the right to just go around stealing other people's assets. Like, hey,
if they're going to use it for terrorism,
Indonesia just sold, and the United States just decides that on their own.
We're on a higher moral ground than Iran. Why are we pretending they're the same thing?
Because I think that's very doubtful. I know people in the United States, some of them think that, but the rest of the world does not think this. The rest of the world considers
the rest of the world thinks.
No,
we do
have
have
to
to pause
get along
there.
in this
You've been
world.
voted out.
We do have to
pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're in a new topic.
Okay, so I would like to clarify when you say that we are.
All right, Dom. Sorry. You went twice already. You're done. Next. You're trash. Moving on. Where are we at? 111. Is this the last one? Donald Trump is the best president of my lifetime. Okay, fine. Best president of my lifetime. Is it going to be like, are they going to troll us? Is it like a 14-year-old like walks in or something? Is that what's going to happen? Let me reset. But they already, I thought they already answered. Is it, hey, is Biden better? Or is Trump? Sorry, Glenn's assertion was that Trump is worse than Biden, I guess. That was his assertion. Okay. All right, here we go.
I did for 12 years.
Thank you guys. So for our last portion, I'm going to ask you to look around the circle and select somebody who you want to return to this chair and debate for a final 10 minutes based on their claim.
You're the winner. Hi again, Glenn. Hello. My surrounded claim.
You picked the dumbest, one of the dumbest arguments that was there. Oh, shut up. You picked the frat boy. You picked the frat boy that doesn't know he's gay yet. God damn it, Glenn. Oh, wait, I get it now. All right, here we go.
Based on their claim.
You're the winner. Hi again, Glenn. Hello. My surrounded claim is that Donald Trump is the best president of my lifetime.
All right, so
ask him how
I want to ask you what your metrics are. Just name the 2 or 3 most important metrics.
Okay, yeah, I would just say America first, being prioritizing of the American people. I would say the second metric to me would be, frankly, the economy, which I know that kind of ties into America first. But
okay, and I'm ending my video right there. Yeah, it's like at some point we have to call certain things stupid, right? We probably got to, for the sake of sanity and being honest. And I'm calling this stupid. And guess what? I have
Is that
control over.
Spencer Dat? Who is that? Sorry.
I think it's his name. Yeah, his name's Josh. Yes.
Oh, I thought it was the guy running for mayor in California.
No, this guy was one that had made some of the dumbest arguments, and Glenn picked him to have a discussion with for his final portion. But once again,
I
it's
need to put my glasses on because I thought that was Spencer.
This feels like people did auditions, and it feels like actors, man. It feels like paid actors, man. Yes, for this. Basically,
Well, they did say casting calls, so I think this is a cast of characters.
Yeah, but then there's like the real world where it's like, okay, let's find the craziest people we can find to make this show entertaining. But then there's like actually like, hey, can you play like this type of role? Can you play this type of role? Maybe they did that. Maybe they did like the real world thing, right? Of let's find particular personalities that are weird or kooky or
It might be like a mix. I feel like there's probably some maybe more genuine people in there just to like give it the illusion of like, oh yeah, I got called into this. I don't know. But then like also populate it with controlled I don't know, like just actors. I could see that too.
Well, but I heard a decent amount of people argue so far, including Glenn, and it's hard to find intelligence anywhere. I don't think I found intelligence, to be honest with you. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I don't mean like who can like talk fast or who can say words clearly or who can memorize talking points. It's more of the substance of it is just not there from anyone.
I mean, the premise of it is already just what is it? Like that Donald Trump is fucking up? Like what? Like fucking up. He's been fucked up. Number one, so it's like just the starting point seems silly.
Yeah, but
and then Glenn can't be honest because I think you were saying like he can't go back to the first administration because then he looks like a fool with the stuff that he was advocating for. So in a way, he's kind of stuck with like how or like where he can go in terms of making a point. But you know how I feel about Glenda, so.
Well, in that way, he's stuck, but only if you come from the mindset of being a coward. If you're aware and you're protecting your own fucking image in these moments, you're a fucking coward. It is what it is.
Yes.
But
I would agree with that.
yeah, yeah, this was kind of lame. It was pretty lame. It was fun for me, like to make arguments here or there. Like, hey, why are we leaving this out? Hey, look at this sense of logic. This doesn't make sense. Hey, look at this fucking locker dwelling dweeb, front of the classroom little fuckface. Oh, okay, that's why you're here. Got it. Or paid actor, whatever. And the argumentation, there was, it's kind of interesting. Like, this is one of the, what's it, like the maybe second or third one I've watched some, like a decent portion of. I skipped a lot through this thing, but I typically do because there is a theme from this show, and it's not real engagement with, skin in the game topics and real argumentation. The theme is lack of substance. It seems to be like a theme for this show.
Yeah, it's like a clippable like moments kind of farming.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
they happen to pick the most.
Yeah.
Like every time, something where it's like, damn, there's no one outside the box. At all. Like, we have to like wait for someone to like show up with a fucking gun or something. Like, is that what we have to wait for? For like, oh my god, it's not all bullshit and fake. Is that what we're waiting for? You can't find ideas and argumentation to be represented here at all. Even if you're doing tryouts.
To be honest,
you can't.
I did see somebody do a kind of a breakdown of some of the owners of this platform, and some of their associations. So I'd have to dig that up, but it could have something to do with that in terms of what they're trying to convey here, or like what, I don't know, even the name.
I get appealing to, once again, more of a mainstream mindset where all they know is on the surface arguments for certain politics or whatever, but there's certain ideas in politics, but no one that could actually sit in front, like just roll. They can roll Glenn. It's pretty easy when he sets certain things up, like, hey, Trump said these words, thus he believes it. So then when he goes the other direction, it's Israel that made him do it. Like, what if he was just lying during his campaign, Glenn, just to get elected, or whatever? Like, something as simple as that was not even considered by this guy. Or once again, if the people he's arguing with are Trump fans, they're not going to be like, well, he lied during his campaign. During his campaigning, he lied. They're not going to say that. What they're going to say is like, well, he actually did follow through. This is not a war. It's a conflict. Okay. This was an engagement. It wasn't a war. So you're wrong. Like, they're going to do that shit. They're not going to, if they're like, even if they're for real, they're going to do that. They're not going to be like, well, hey, Glenn, what if he just lied? Like, maybe he's not owned by Israel. Maybe he just lied during his campaign shit, and he was already going to do these weird things for the sake of him and his own fucking team's prerogatives. But of course, something like that.
But that would also not be great for Glenn either, because of what he's endorsed in the past.
I know.
So you can't.
I know, but imagine you're looking for someone that can, like, here we go, like, all-star journalist Glenn Greenwald gets embarrassed on our program. Like, they're not gonna, but right, that would work for them. But they're not looking for that, are they? So
no, and he wouldn't. Yeah, he would sniff that out.
The premise you said, if someone had an actual real counter argument and weren't just coming from quote unquote MAGA land, there's no way to, like, he already set the premise, so thus he's already fucked when it comes.
But
to
I don't think he would want to argue with those people.
I'm saying if the show was like, hey, let's find people that can actually wreck Glenn Greenwald, that no one knows who they are, where they come from. This guy can just destroy Glenn Greenwald on this topic, right? I'm sure they had the topics already in hand, so why not find the people that can like do like real counter arguments, not just, hey, I voted Trump, I love Trump, I'll repeat the White House, and Glenn can just like skate by on easy argumentation.
The closest Glenn will get to that is talking to Brianna Joy Gray. I swear to God. I swear to God, that's the closest that you'll see Glenn, like even kind of teetering toward that.
Fair enough.
Just from my observations.
Well, all right, that's it. Here's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree or disagree. I'm sure no one will make it to this point because I think I figured it out. I think I make too much sense. I think I make too much sense. I was just arguing. No one was here before. It was just me and Ed, Teddy on full mute. I'm like, like, hey man, like qualitatively, like this guy, like anyone who heard that made sense, right, guy? Not you guys in Discord, but to the audience if they heard that. Like that makes sense, right, guys? Like, hey, qualitatively, like Trump it's been bad, right? By your standards, not by my standards, by your personal standards. Qualitatively,
Well,
it's
first of all,
been bad,
Ed
right?
doesn't like the questions that you ask. Like his main issue, from what I've gathered, is that people are asking the wrong questions and they care about the wrong things.
Oh, but I asked him though, like,
And
hey, can you say like, hey, this if I play you a song, can you say like qualitatively like what you think about it? Like, hey, it's bad or it's good or here's some good parts, here's some bad parts, whatever the fuck, right? But he wasn't even doing that. And I'm like, it, I must be speaking. I almost said Chinese, but he might get offended by that. I must be speaking
he's
alien.
Korean.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Take some jokes, man. It's okay. But yeah, it's whatever. I feel as though I make sense when I say certain things about this. That all these
Yes,
things
I'm
I'm
sure your
observing.
problem is that you make too much sense. Yes.
I think it does make too much sense.
My God. Well, I don't know what the argument was, but if it was with Ed, I can already imagine. So I'll just sit this one out.
Anyways.
Especially if it's the same thing that he's usually upset about.
I think it's a problem with me personally. I really do believe that at this point.
Okay.
But it is what it is. It's others can say probably the same words, be treated differently, most likely. My humble guess. I could be wrong about that, but
well, you shouldn't have gotten armrests if you didn't want to be called armchair.
Yeah, so. Fair enough. I'm sorry, Ed, for being correct. Anyways, there's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree or disagree. Call me condescending, like there it is right there. Agree or disagree, let it be known in the comment section. I don't know. What do you think about Glenn's argumentation or any panel person you thought was legitimate? That'd be a hard one to make an argument for. I really do believe that, especially after having like hindsight, right? You see the results, so thus you can't be making these arguments anymore. It's like just too late. Well, what is a war? Like you can't do that anymore. Like we already seen, right? I would think and hope. But please leave your comment. Don't forget to share support. Hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Also, please check out the Discord link if you want to join that. We're in the Discord right now. All opinions are welcome. And obviously everything I show you, which is just this video, honestly, will be linked for you to look at on your own. The parts we skipped, you can go watch on your own and do your thing and tangle with ideas best you can or whatever. So please do that. Most importantly, with all that said, give this video a thumbs down.